Call a meeting to order at Griggs County Commissioners, August 24th, 2017. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll. John. Here. Dale.
Here.
Ron.
Here.
Sean is not here. Troy is here. Okay. Is there any corrections or additions to the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Been moved by Dale to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 2018 budget. Sam?
Okay, so I made a few changes from what I sent you last night. I tried to continue on with some of the recommendations that Ron had kind of sent me. And on page, Schedule A, page 2, last night you guys were missing the County Road and Bridge Fund, so that has now been revised. Troy had saw that the page Schedule A, page 1 is not matching with page 2, and with that one, that's the ambulance fund. I have now corrected that to have that go in, so now that one number is the same as Schedule 2 or Schedule A, page 2.
So on the spreadsheet, Ron, is there a procedure to follow on the inputs? Is there an input page? Because how do we end up with a missing 1.6 million 37 and evidently either you're using the spreadsheet correctly or there's a flaw with it.
Somebody typed over the formula.
Right. It isn't possible to have happened what happened here unless if you're using the spreadsheet correctly. You can't have the levy amount of 1617 and then the very next page have the levy amount of 1637.
It was grabbing from a different page than what the rest of them were grabbing from. And so with that one page, I had taken all of them out because those were old numbers. It was actually called M1 old or something, and that's what it was grabbing from, and I had taken all those numbers out, and then it should have been grabbing from the other page, and I didn't.
That's why I asked, is there an input page? So I mean,
It's got to be bringing it
spreadsheets-
forward from the ambulance's budget.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Most times spreadsheets don't look back. So if you are entering a amount past the input page, it's not going to populate those figures back. You have to, so any amount that's changed has to be changed at the input page, which has to come off the department budget.
Mm-hmm.
But it still is concerning that this can happen because the only way that can happen is you type over a formula somewhere. And if we're not letting the formula do the work, then we should just as well throw that away and do this by hand. Because the reason for the formula is the checks and balances that it supplies us with, but there's no check and balance here when you can have, we're solving for levy. That's the whole process. This whole process is to solve for levy. And on the same page, we have different levy numbers. So we got to get to the bottom of why this is happening, because otherwise, we as commissioners and you as the auditor can't be confident in the numbers we're putting forward.
Right. With that formula on the first page, it was grabbing from E1, other county levies. That's what the formula was. And now it's taking from the actual, like the E2.
Right.
Page E2.
And the other thing is we have no way, being a commission, of checking these formulas. You locked us out of it. You password protected the formulas, and so we don't have any confidence that any of this is. Well, we know it's not right. What are we going to do about this? I mean, there are. This isn't the only thing in this budget as we go through here. There's multiple.
Well, let's go through it.
Okay. do you want to start, Sam?
The ones that you guys didn't make a motion on Friday, it starts with IT.
Yeah, and these are just preliminary motions. We'll have to go through this again.
Right.
Yeah. What? What is it?
B17. And you asked him to take that 66,905 and put it into line items, and this is what he came up with.
I emailed the state on that WAN issue, and I haven't gotten a response yet. I don't know if that fella's on vacation or what the deal is.
So, what stands out to me on this budget is the tech support number. It went from an actual expenditure in 2016 of $4,200 to a requested of $14,700 to a revised requested of $12,000. What caused the increase of $8,000 in tech support?
Actual year to date, right now, we've spent $2,479 out of there. And I know that's, if any of us have like any issues or anything like that, it comes out of there. But
Right.
that's
Well,
as far as I know.
2/3 of the way through the year.
And the last reported verified number that for a year was $4,200.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should put it back at. Well, we're gonna be that. That's what it's gonna be about this year too, unless something happens.
Right. What's the total IT expenditures for the year? So far.
This year?
Right.
Actual year to date, we've spent $40,781.
See, some of those are upfront costs. The government soft is an upfront cost.
Correct.
Our rack lease with him, I mean, there's certain things that are fixed.
The contract is that paid in tranches of 2 or is it
I
one?
don't know.
Is it a $15,000? Anyway, I think we can reduce that $12,000 tech support number down to
Half that.
$5,000. I mean, we've only spent $2,200 so far, and we're 2/3 of the way through.
And he did a whole bunch of work this year because everybody moved from the other building.
Right.
I think a lot of that came out of that courtroom grant account,
Well,
those expenses.
the
Any-
work in your office shouldn't have come out of the courtroom grant, Samantha.
Any work that he did for the court moving us over and stuff, that all came out of the courtroom grant.
It shouldn't have. I don't think.
So if we went to,
How come there's no allowance for the government soft?
You guys,
it got
It all
down into
he
this.
lumped everything into that one line
Down
item,
into this one.
that $22,000 line item.
Okay, in the software, okay.
Yeah, he told us he did that
Yeah.
the first time he brought it to us.
on the courtroom grant, you guys budgeted $10,000 for the IT. That's why I just been taking it out of there
Yeah.
for any work that he did.
How much of it has been used?
I think all of that, if I remember correctly.
I don't think we can tell, can we?
I don't know if it's. I don't think it's
We just know that we spent $107,000.
I can do an account history to know what we've paid him.
We don't know.
It wasn't itemized.
No.
Okay. So what would that would decrease his budget by $7,000? Which would
One thing to, be mindful of, if there's a bunch of expense there, more may have come out of that other account than,
Yeah.
it might be replaced next year by this account. I'm just saying.
It just seems like the tech support number is, if it's there, it's probably going to get spent. If it's
Well, it
not,
didn't last year.
because of the,
Oh, the courtroom grant.
I think. Well, I'd make a motion, we reduce the tech support by $7,000.
Did you mean you moved to approve this budget with a decrease of $7,000 in the tech support line item?
Yeah, well, approving the budgets really is doesn't do anything, because we're going to have to come back and approve the whole budget anyway as a whole.
In the last minutes, I've just been tentatively.
Okay, there you go. I tentatively approved this budget. Yeah, I think that was the word we're using.
Yep.
Been moved by John to tentatively approve the IT budget with one change, which is to reduce the tech support line item by $7,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Insurance.
Insurance, I got a hold of Amber this morning and she informed me that the new courthouse cost will be in March of $8,000 and the renewal is in June of about $30,000. So that one did go down. I did fix the plug numbers for you.
Okay, so the premium and the new courthouse,
Those were the
are those duplicates?
No. The premium, that is the renewal and the
Of what?
of all of like our audio or our vehicles, our other inventory, that kind of stuff.
And when does that due?
That is due in June of next year. We've paid that already this year. And that's due in June, and then the new courthouse of the $8,000 is due in March of next year.
Okay. But right now, we don't show anything being paid out of that premium account, that $30,000 account.
Right, I took it out of the wrong account. I have to fix that. It should have came out of the premium.
Where'd it come out of?
New courthouse.
So that, okay, so then going to page 18 in this new budget, if both those are gonna be viable costs in 18, why isn't a $30,000 premium here now?
It is. It's on premium.
Okay, and then the new courthouse, the premium isn't 34, it's 8,000?
8,000.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. Okay. So that,
Our workers' comp has gone up 4 times.
Workers' comp.
It's gone from actual 2016 of $3,000, and it's gonna go up be $11,000 this year, next year.
We've spent actual year to date 5,897.
That's a monthly payment, isn't it? Or quarterly? Quarterly.
quarterly, should be quarterly.
When's the last payment? Must have been in June, or 15th of July, I suppose.
I think that's a yearly payment. Isn't that the one that we pay right away in the beginning of the year, and then we take it all out of the general fund, and then once we get the actual bill, we then split it out into the appropriate budgets.
Maybe it's based on last year's number. If that's the case, then that's the number. Then why would we budget 11,000?
Well, and it looks like you're no longer using the formulas, right? I mean, it looked like this number, well, for job service, 8443 and 38 cents, that's a typed in number.
Has to be because it doesn't correspond to
Yeah,
the wage.
it used to refer to a formula.
I didn't put any numbers in there, I don't think.
Well, that was the spreadsheet I last looked at. That for nearly all of these, like workforce safety and stuff, it looked like they were all typed in numbers.
Where is the total labor cost at, Ron? Which
M2 possibly?
so the number on M2 doesn't even match the number on B18 for workforce safety or North Dakota Job Service.
Yeah, no longer, it doesn't anymore.
So you've typed over the formulas.
Yeah, those got some weird numbers in them. They're like 8 decimal places after.
But there's no formula on it, right?
Right.
It's just a typed in number.
Right. So I need to check those formulas.
So how did you get the number that you typed in by hand?
I didn't type those numbers in by hand, so I don't know what the heck that is.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. But I'll make sure that those get into the right formula there.
Yeah, if you want to use the formula, obviously it's got to
Yeah,
have a
that's
formula there.
better.
Well, that spreadsheet's so corrupt that we don't know nothing.
That's correct. It's that way throughout. At least the budget that was sent to us, it's this way throughout that whole budget. It appears like the for whatever reason, it appears like there's been numbers input into the middle of the spreadsheet, and some of them carried forward, but it doesn't appear like anything's been put into the input pages on the spreadsheet. And again, you didn't make that, it won't populate backwards, will it? No, so it just populates forward.
I mean, we'd have to have a formula to populate.
Right, but you
backwards.
never put that, that's not in the, no. So.
Yeah, one other one we've got to keep in mind is that on insurance deductibles, we spent almost 8,000 so far this year. Well, you're putting in 6,000, that we recommended 3 and we're gonna spend 6.
Right, but
And that's for
are
the
you looking at M3 now?
No.
Okay, look at North Dakota Workforce Safety. The total workforce safety line on that M3 is $20,000, and upon B18 it's only 10.
On which page?
M3.
B18, huh?
N3 you're looking at.
M
Yep.
M3 compared to which one?
B18,
Okay, because
or isn't that supposed to match
well, on M3, some of that workforce safety is gonna be,
in other budgets?
yeah.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, in with county road, some with 911 coordinator and veteran service officer and county agent and
Okay.
stuff, so. And then that's, that, like 20,000 for workforce safety, that's kind of a check. For what we actually spent on workforce safety is $20,000 in the right ballpark,
Okay,
you know, for all of these distributions.
right.
Okay, so
On this
that's,
insurance reserve fund, where does that number come forward into the spreadsheet here, Ron? So B18 is itemized where?
Well, it comes into page B4.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Oh, I wanted to see where insurance reserve, where it came into the spreadsheet at, B4, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it comes into B4,
Mhm.
and then, you know, it appears at the total at the bottom of B4, and then
Yep.
later it appears on B6.
So where should that have started its input?
Well,
At the budget page?
yeah, on B18.
Right.
That's the starting point. And then B4 takes the number from B18,
Yeah.
and the total comes from B4, but the number on B6 comes from the number on page B4.
So anything you change in this budget, Sam, has to be changed on one of these budget pages. That's the only place you can change a number.
Okay.
You can't go into here or into here and change a number because it won't populate. It has to start at the beginning on one of these budget pages, from the bottom right-hand corner of one of these budget pages. That's the way you set it up, right?
Yeah, but like, for example, in pages B2 and B3,
Mm-hmm.
the revenue, that has, I mean, there's no pages back there to draw the revenue from, so we're, and like, for example, on page B, it looks like it's changed. So on page B3, the revenue, for DES revenue, it shows 0 now.
DES revenue?
Yes, on page B3, item 35. I thought it showed,
It should show, the DES revenue projected for 18 should show half of the
budget.
budget.
And
I
that's,
thought it showed 17,000 yesterday.
it did show 17,000, but then I got his new numbers because he redid that DES budget that you had asked him to. And then I took half of what he requested and put that into the revenue.
It's not in there.
No.
Where's, what page is the DES on?
B3.
B3.
It's on B2. On the bottom, it says DES reimbursement, $7,862.50.
It's just listed twice here.
Oh,
But it has a different account number. One is 3355 and one is 3428.5.
I didn't switch those. I didn't do anything with those numbers.
No, but which one is the active? Which one is the active? Which one of those accounts goes back to the DES itself? So the DES is on. Disaster B22. What number does it have?
What's on page 21?
21. Oh, and we don't have an account number for it here, huh?
No, and none of these numbers are in the general fund or in the levy amount,
Right,
because there's no number in the final allowance.
right.
So when we put it in there, it's gonna go up 8,000, or 7,800, or whatever it is, or 15,000, whatever that number is.
The account number is 3355.
So there's
That other DES number may have been from the building.
maybe EOC, I think is what that was, but. So, but the DES budget we've just been presented with has 0 numbers in it.
Oh,
You guys didn't have any. Didn't put any plug numbers in that one, since you guys had asked him to go and redo that budget and bring it back.
But I thought he did.
Well, I think John made a motion to use the 2016 actual numbers in the budget.
So that's going to,
I had that you guys wanted him to redo the budget and bring it back.
But didn't the
what
tape,
page is it?
21, B21.
But didn't the tape have John making a motion to use the 2016 numbers?
That's what we did, yeah. $12,776.64.
Well, he revised his request.
Because this one had the 911 officer in it as well.
Right.
Which one?
The DES.
The one I'm looking at doesn't.
On last Fridays.
Oh, on the revenue side again, then, for the courtroom grant, you're expecting $1,500 revenue?
That was Kelly's number.
Okay.
That's if you approve the B23 of the expense, or she's requesting 2,000 of that, and then if she gets that, then the revenue would be the 1,500.
So if you do the same thing with salaries on the DS as you did for the rest of the budget, the new one would be 7932.80 on the salary. And the benefits would be 1839.76. $97.72.57.
Well, what did you get?
79.32.80,
Yeah.
$1839.76 for a total salary of $97.72.57, and then if you left that 5,800 alone, the total would then be 15,572.57.
Yeah, that's probably about right, because the benefits should have everything except health insurance, I suppose. It should have retirement, FICA, workforce safety, and job service. So that sounds to be in the right general range.
How come actual 2016 there was nothing in there?
I don't know. Yeah, that's the one, it's kind of screwed up because, it's Bob Hook and he said that we could bill for those benefits.
That's right.
But we'd have to break them out and submit a bill for it, and we never did. So if we had submitted it out, well, even health insurance with Bob, we could have taken 1/5 his health insurance or something. It could have been a much bigger number, but he didn't break out, or we didn't break out anything and submit it for a reimbursement.
Well, we get half back from the DES budget. 50% is reimbursed, so whatever you put on there is reimbursed.
Yeah, so we should put retirement and FICA and all that stuff in the reimbursement request and in the budget request.
We can budget a number as long as when the reimbursement request is done, Samantha helps them break that, itemize that out of there, right?
No, they look at what's been spent, right? So
They don't look at this though. So,
when they send in reimbursement requests, it's what's been spent.
right,
So you'd have to put salary, retirement.
And,
right. We can line item it at that time. So if, we can approve this if we think the numbers is accurate, right?
this is a futile exercise here, guys. Until we have a completed budget for us to look at, all we're doing is spinning our wheels here. It needs to be completed, then we need to go through and determine whether or not the numbers are actual or not. We're not supposed to be the ones that are compiling these numbers. That is, the auditor to supply us with the 16, 17, and projected 18, and a completed budget with all the departments in that budget, with the levy and with the statement of whether or not we have complied with the zero net increase in the levy. That's where we're supposed to start.
I get that.
And I just don't know how to do this when the numbers are corrupted in that spreadsheet. It's obvious that something's wrong in there, so the numbers we input, they don't propagate through the spreadsheet. So I'm not going to waste my time until this is put into a format that I can make sure is usable. And I think the only way to do that is throw away that spreadsheet and do it by hand the way it's supposed to be done. You wanted us to stay out of it so you could verify your numbers. We stayed out of it, and we can't verify.
I've been asking Ron for his help. He's been helping.
I know, but it. You see the frustration, of course.
I know. I'm trying to do this too. This is 97 pages, 4 columns in each page. If you make one change, it screws it all up, and so I'm trying.
I know.
And I've been sending it to Ron to ask him for help. I would like to make the changes is all that I had asked, so that I'd get to know the spreadsheet more this year and stuff. Because I really didn't do a whole lot with the formulas the last 2 years.
The formula should never change.
And I haven't been trying to, except for the ones that Ron has sent me. He's said, this formula should have been this and stuff. So I have began to understand where everything is coming from.
But like the spreadsheet I sent you yesterday afternoon, it had the DES numbers in it.
Yep, and that was before I had the new numbers. That's why I took them out, is all.
Okay. And there were just other changes in that spreadsheet I gave you that,
And I was trying to go through that this morning, trying to compare my spreadsheet with your spreadsheet.
yeah, there's just stuff missing here that I had put in my spreadsheet and asked you to check.
Yeah.
You know, your numbers against my numbers, but some of them pretty major numbers here.
This will be the revenue, if it was negative. This would, I mean, if this number's negative, then this becomes the taxes.
It's the same thing.
I know.
How could the general property taxes be that much less than that?
I don't know.
I don't know, looked at that before.
Well, the general property taxes should be at least 325,000 less than last year, right?
No, Dale's looking at, I had this marked in my notes too. Dale's looking at page B2.
Well, we're kind of floating around here, fellers.
Well, I did, yeah, just pointed out the obvious.
No, your
Yeah.
point is taken. However, we can tentatively approve these as individual budgets. We're not gonna be able to approve the budget today, that's obvious, because there's too many mistakes in this spreadsheet now. But, I mean, we can do the individual budgets. If Samantha can't use that spreadsheet, she's gonna have to do it by hand.
Well, look at B2. Look at the general property taxes, the actual revenues in 16 and the estimated revenues in 17. It's not possible that the taxes are lower in 17 than they were in 16.
Oh.
No, I think that is, if we had a levy sheet in front of us, I think right on the levy sheet, well, if we had the 2016 budget in front of us, I think we levied 753,000 in 16.
In the general fund?
Yeah, and 585 in 17. I can't remember exactly why it went down so much right at the moment.
Well, isn't it in last year's budget?
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, I got it right. So
I got the levy sheets right here.
So then the bottom right-hand column of it is 274,000.
Page B2.
Yeah, down at the right hand, down the very right-hand bottom page.
Okay.
It would show we don't have to levy anything.
Well,
And that number, that 274 should match what the,
yeah, well, what, like line 28 there,
Yep.
that's just the total intergovernmental revenue.
right,
You know, just lines 15 through 27 are in that number.
2016 levy was 780,045.97, and 2017 budget was 585,301.
Yeah, 585,301, yeah.
and we have 753, 735.31 for the 16 revenue, actual.
Right.
And that's right.
753,
What's that?
753.
That might be actual. We budgeted 780,045.
Yeah. Yep, I think the 753, 735 came off of Rotunda's audit sheet.
So, what's the next one?
Well, do you want to tentatively approve the DES budget?
Are you moving that $5,800 over?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I did. I don't know.
Do you have a DES budget?
B21.
So you're using, we're gonna move it over to the final allowance?
Well, what I did, John, is, so we have a department request,
Mm-hmm.
and the salary is increased more than what we've done for the rest of the
All right.
employees.
Yeah.
So I did the calculation.
Okay.
So what I moved over into the final allowance was 79.32.80,
Okay.
18.39.76, for a total of 97.72.57.
What was that again?
97.72.57.
Okay.
And then I left that, I pushed that 5,800 over there, so the bottom right-hand corner says 15,572.51, 57. Can't read my own writing.
57?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tentatively approve the DES budget at 15,572.57.
It's been moved by John to tentatively approve the DS budget of 15,572.57. Is there a second?
One second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, what else? Next one we have it.
Courtroom grant,
Courtroom grant. So,
B23.
Yep.
so, Kelly has revised that courtroom grant for 2018. She would like to apply for a grant for a $2,000 expenditure. I don't know exactly what that is, but there's also revenue budgeted for 3/4 of that, so we'd get 1,500 back. If I remember right, is that the right number?
75%, yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I have written here. I must have been getting tired, but this time I rolled okay on a budget we didn't have nothing on.
Can anybody remember what that 2,000 request was for?
Never was, but
It was
possible flags, she said.
flags and a seal for the courtroom, and I think that was,
I think she was gonna, these flags with the fringes on them, she said they're supposed to be replaced, probably a long time ago.
That sound, I do remember that.
And then there was some other stuff in the courtroom. That flag does look a little drabby. It's all faded out.
it wouldn't be replacing this one. It would be replacing the two in the courtroom.
Oh, okay.
Not this one, yeah.
The court uses this room too.
I had asked her to if that could go through too, because she had recommended, she had saw that this one had the fringe and said that that was probably something I should be looking into, so. And I asked if the courtroom grant could cover that, and she didn't think.
Okay.
I'm not sure the citizens care if there's fringe on their flag or not.
I don't think so.
No.
I'd move to approve the courtroom grant.
At zero?
At 2,000,
2,000.
No.
been moved by Dale to approve the courtroom grant, but tentatively approve the courtroom grant budget of $2,000. Is there any discussion?
I need a second.
Oh, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
No.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is new courthouse tax increase.
You'll take care of the revenue side of that then?
It's already been put in.
Okay.
Okay.
At
We're jumping
15.
too fast. We need to go to B25.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the new spreadsheet that I sent you yesterday, and it makes me nervous. But I have the three columns here,
Yeah.
2016, 2017, and 2018,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can keep track better
Okay.
and see what we did request in 2016, which on page, it goes back to page B6. At the bottom there, we transferred in 127,768.54, but right now we don't have any record at all of what that was for. So on the new spreadsheet, the 2016 number would be there showing what adds up to that.
Okay.
And then this 2017 is here. And then in 2018, I believe, well, on this spreadsheet, you don't have anything transferred in. And we were transferring in from I don't know, it wasn't chemical hazard, or there was two funds back there that were transferring out, that we transferred out of.
Okay.
And in yesterday's spread, or in one spreadsheet it was in here, but in this one it's not. The 2018 transfer in is no longer here. But it'll appear on page B25. But like I say, I'm nervous about these formulas.
B20.
Are these, one question about the spreadsheets, when you print these, do you title these? I mean, is it spreadsheet, 2018 spreadsheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So that we.
When you save the files, you mean?
Yeah,
You change the name and save a new file?
Yep.
You know, what I always do, I put from Samantha, August 21st, and then I put to Samantha, August 22nd.
Yep.
Now, on your end, I don't know what you do.
Yep.
but-
I got them.
But I keep all of those by date.
Yep.
Every single one you sent me and every one I sent you. Then after I send it to you, then I make a copy of it, and I make any additional changes on it after I send it to you, so that I know exactly what I sent to you
Yep.
and where my additional changes are.
so Ron, on this page B25, this JDA transfer out in 17, did we actually transfer that out? But because it shows up in the 2018 budget again.
No, we need to make a motion, and we need to make a motion
I thought we
that,
did that.
You guys did that. You made a motion.
well, I
and-
didn't think we knew this $6,500 expenditure at the time.
I thought that was already, I thought when that was made, when we paid that invoice, I thought then we,
Well, I was just going off the revenue sheet, and I pointed out we had $44,000 revenue. But neither the revenue nor the expenditure was back on the budget sheet at that time.
You guys just did this on Friday that you wanted me to move that money into the general fund this year.
Yeah, but at the time, I didn't think we made a motion because we didn't have it on the JDA sheet. I thought the $44,000 was the only number we were looking at.
Yep, it was the 44, and then I said,
And it's right, but I just don't see how we could have made a motion if we didn't know what the expenditure was at that time.
I think when we learned of the expenditure, initially we were going to move it and we didn't know what the expenditure was gonna be because Beth didn't know the number yet. And then we learned the number, and then Beth gave us the closeout number, and I think we made the motion then to transfer that into the general fund. But it doesn't matter, as long as it makes it in there now. But now it's gonna go forward into the 18 budget, and we're gonna have to send it.
Well, no, we were gonna make, the motion was to revise the 2017 budget to reflect this as a transfer in 2017, rather than put it in 2018, because we wanted it early. And if we made a motion, I'm sure it probably said the motion was to revise. This would be one of the revisions to the 2017 budget, and there was about 3 or 4 other revisions that we gotta make.
Right. And then when I went and looked at the JDA's the liability report right now, the JDA has $38,039.73 because at 44, then we paid out those the final ones, and now we're down to the 38.
Yeah.
That's how I came up with that.
and you moved that already,
You made a motion that I moved that.
and you did that.
I have not done that yet.
No, so it doesn't show up in the transfers.
It should be JDA.
Page 325.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, it's on page 325. As being one that'll be done in 2017. And then probably you've done all of these transfers already. You know, you've probably already transferred. Well, that's a good one to look at. I mean, like the flood, you've probably transferred already. That 11,522.78.
But let's be clear what we're talking about.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Transfer.
the
Are we talking transfer, make the change in the governance soft? Because the change has already been made in the budget.
right.
Mhm.
It's
Okay, so the budget has been done. It's just making governance soft match the budget.
right. And I have not done govern soft.
Right.
I have done budget.
Okay,
And Wayne understand that he doesn't have 30,000 for a Bobcat because 11,000 has already gone into the general fund.
Yes, it isn't reflective in governance soft yet either, is it? Samantha?
Yeah,
I know, so none of those are reflective in the governance soft. So all that's gonna do now is the closeout in the general fund in 17 is going to be reflective of those numbers being higher.
Yeah, but he's never gonna have that money for a Bobcat. It's going to the general fund.
No. But they are reflected in the budget.
In the budget, yeah.
Correct.
And then when we get to it, for this budget, we should transfer the 19,000 from the 2011 flood.
Correct.
I believe that's done, and we can transfer that into the general fund also.
Correct. And the reason we can transfer those is because, I might not have the percentage right here, but Griggs County, the participating entity got to charge between 4 and 5% for the administration of the fund. And once everything has been paid out of the fund, the dollars remaining are that of Griggs County for administration.
oh,
So we've spent all the money that was appropriated for that fund on the things it was appropriated for. Now it's the administrative costs, which should go back to the general fund of the county. So the comment that these funds can't be used for anything else was correct, except there was no funds left to be used for anything else. This was what the county charged for using the funds.
well, that's what FEMA gave us for administering the funds.
Correct. And it won't amount to the 5%. We didn't take the 5% out first. Whatever's left is the 5%. I think it's 5, maybe it's 4. So those funds, as 2009 went back, 2011 didn't go back because it wasn't closed out last year. Wayne hadn't spent the money, and when he did, now everything that it was allocated for has been spent, and that remaining balance of, what is it, 17,000 is the remaining balance? Well, it doesn't matter. That needs to go back in 18 then.
Yeah, I thought it was 19.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Flood 2011. Is that right? There's 19,165.
19,165.68.
Okay.
Okay. Got it. So, do you want to hop back and do Mary so she can go do whatever she does?
Yep.
Don't you want to spend the whole afternoon here listening to us?
I've learned a lot. I've almost learned everything.
Heard a lot and didn't learn nothing.
Ah, it's not a wasted day then. Okay, as you guys know, last Friday I was not here, and when my original budget was proposed, shortly thereafter I got a email from my social worker saying she was resigning. So that kind of gave me an opportunity to play around a little bit with some thoughts that I had. And the first one is, we had talked about this originally at our meeting about joining forces, and I know, John, you wanted to consider districting at that time, and that wasn't recommended by the state and a couple of other directors in light of not knowing what's going to happen with 2206 and funding. So what I did was My first proposal would be, instead of hiring that position, advertising and hiring for that position, what I'd like to do is do cost sharing like we've done with Griggs and Nelson with my position. And that's this first budget of the 323,616.88. And that would be contracting with Nelson County for that social worker 3 to do all our child protection stuff. And that is figured into that first budget that you guys have.
That's the one you punched in.
Yep.
And if we use this budget, it kind of opened up things a little differently in how my role would be handled then. I would be needed for less supervision and hands-on training of that worker, and I would be able to handle the home and community-based cases that are in Griggs County, as well as the ones in Nelson. So that would be no added, that would just be a wash across the board, which is beneficial to both counties.
So the wages that were adjusted here, I assume that was done per position?
Right.
The recommendation from the state?
Yes. Her position was, I budgeted for her salary to be $5,000 a month, shared 60-40 with Griggs.
Yeah. And I mean, and then you held the salaries from the same as last year for?
Yep, everybody else.
And I assume Dawn took the decrease because I think her salary, that was 30,000 was the secretarial part of her salary.
But didn't they go to 4/5 instead of 5/5? Isn't this based on a 4/5?
Yeah, no, it looks, I think Dawn was doing this, the janitorial work.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, so I think that's why that one went down $6,000, I believe.
There's another a line in there for Dawn custodian.
But I think we took that out, did we not?
No, it's in here. Well,
Yeah, but
yeah,
we
you
did-
took the number out of there, it's
The
just
number's
listed
out.
here.
Yeah.
But there's no number in there.
Yep.
So that's where you're.
So you're not going to touch the reserve at all, this is the revenues plus, this is operating on the revenues it's gonna generate on its own.
Right.
Very good.
Right. We would, my calculation is, what was it, $17,000 under?
Yeah.
Which, just for safety issues, I'd like to plug that back into one of these items, maybe the emergency buyout salary, since I have it there, to go right up to my budget instead of going under.
Well, I think we'd leave the balance in there, right?
Oh, yeah, it would stay there, so
Oh, okay,
you wouldn't, you would
okay.
just have to amend your budget if you needed it.
Okay,
No, the $100,000 would stay.
okay. Right, but this would be $117,000,
Right, so it
Right.
would decrease your balance, and then you would be carrying $83,000 into the following year.
okay,
But if you didn't use it, it wouldn't matter anyway, it would.
right.
It would
Yeah.
just carry year to year to year to year until it had to be.
But you can plug it in here as an expenditure, and it would just carry.
Right, right. It's because some of these things I cut really skinny.
Yeah.
They're really hard to anticipate what's gonna happen. I did put the burials back to 2 county burials. And all the general stuff, medical and general assistance and things like that, they were all added back in. And it fit nicely with this budget proposal. I wasn't sweating bullets.
So these, I'm a little confused. I know they all went kind of, everybody went to 4/5 time, or just about everybody initially. But do you think that's a doable deal? Oh, you do? Okay,
For right now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
cool.
And I have talked to the staff, and they're all, I've tried to meet with each of them individually. There's a couple I haven't met with yet, but they all seem to be okay with the way it is.
So Ron, Mary wants to plug $17,000 back into this budget.
1,700.
1,700?
1,700.
Oh, okay.
Well,
What did yeah,
The difference from 323 to 325, 25.
Yeah, that's fine.
1,700.
is it best to, I mean, if it was a bigger number, the little number doesn't matter, but if it was a bigger number, it makes sense to just amend the budget if you need it, because what happens is, it shows up as an expenditure, and until you close out the 17 budget, it's lost in the,
In that.
it's lost in the system for a year. Because you have to go by what the 18 estimated budget was, and that money is budgeted to be spent, and it doesn't carry over until the next year, into the 20 budget.
20, yeah.
And that's some of the things we ran into in here that we gotta talk about yet too. But $1,700 doesn't make any difference, so.
It's not a huge difference.
No.
So that's one of my proposals. I did a couple, just to kind of show you. The second one is hiring a full-time.
The other one is the other one that I had laying on.
And that one,
The standalone one.
Yeah.
yeah.
Page.
It's not in your, it was just like a standalone.
Oh, that's what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
Oh, so
No, which one?
I was looking at the wrong one. I've been looking at this one.
We should be looking at the one that said shared CPS and director on the top.
The option one that she was talking about was in your budget. Those are the numbers that I inputted in.
Oh.
And then this is the option two that she's gonna be talking about.
So I'm recommending the first one that we talked about.
Oh, not this one.
Not the 357 one, the
No, not the
323.
The 323,
Okay.
616, 88.
She's been talking about page C16B in your packet
Yep.
so far.
That probably explains why I couldn't find the 1,700.
I mean, the 1,700 could just go into miscellaneous. There's-
Right, we could plug it in somewhere just so.
So
that-
instead of 100 miscellaneous, it could be 1,800.
That's fine.
Or bio salaries or something. I can plug it into another
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, wild salary.
not a big deal.
And if the accounting system was done already, that it should be taken out each time when we. I mean, that should be a paid item as we go, rather than a budgeted item, shouldn't it?
What's that?
Salary buyout. You're talking about buyout application and things like that.
Yes, if somebody were to retire or quit, and then we
Every
have-
place I've worked, we've always accrued those
Yep.
things as an expense
Yep.
at the time that the accrual happened. I don't know what happens in this accounting system. It isn't accrual? You don't have accrual accounts?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
And because we're state merit, so social service is a state merit, so we can accrue up to 240 hours and carry
Right.
Of comp, you mean?
of annual leave, comp time, yes, yes.
Oh, it's the
Whereas-
same thing.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
So I don't know what the other departments are allowed to carry over, but state merit says, you know, we can have at least that much. So if somebody were to retire and have 240 hours on the books, that's a huge hit.
Right.
And if you were in the real world, you'd have already
Yeah.
expensed that,
It
so
would
you'd
be
have
paid- it would be
you'd
paid
have it
over
set
to-
aside.
It's an unfunded liability in the system.
Which bureaucracies specialize in those. But that's the way we'll do it.
Okay.
So then the second one I have is the one that says hiring a full-time LSW 3. So that would be somebody, and
That's
that,
this one.
and that's the 357, 856. And that was if I were to hire somebody, and depending upon whether they were trained in the programs that we need or not, that would reflect on how my time is spent, whether I would need to assist in training them in the programs, the child protection programs, and the HCBS. So, and that was budgeted. Social worker 3 is higher on the pay scale than the social worker 2.
Right. And this one would dip into the reserve,
Yeah.
$32,000.
Yep. So that would be my recommendation, is to go with the first budget, the 323, 616. Then get up to 325, 325, but that would be my recommendation. I have met with the social worker in Nelson County just to make sure that she was on board. She was on board. I did reach out to Bruce. Bruce was gonna talked to the other board members, but he didn't see a problem with it. I don't see a problem with it. So pending how you guys want to handle this, I can move forward with them or not.
So we just add $1,700 to the salary buyout.
The emergency salaries.
I could add it there.
Or not.
Yeah, because I think I only put $2,000 in their rate at this
Right.
point.
I just increased it to 3,700 when I moved it over.
Yeah, so what's the difference there? Yeah, so then I would just add that to that line.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll make the motion we approve the
Option one,
option one as presented.
with the increase of $1,700 to the emergency salaries budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To get me up to that 17 or that 25, 325, 325, whatever the difference is there.
Is there a second?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Okay, I just
Thank
have
you.
one other thing that I would like to ask you guys to consider.
Okay.
And that is, when I was going through this, I got this from Sam, the revenues and expenditures, and I see that the CWB, County Welfare Board, can we have that renamed to Social Services or something different than the Welfare Board?
I have Service Area Human Services.
On this one, it says CWB.
That's how it is in the system right now.
Okay,
But
okay.
Tammy told me I was supposed to change it to this.
Good, good. That's fine, just gotta get that
Oh.
verbiage out of there.
Did option number one include going down to 6 meetings a year?
Oh,
You
that's
talked
right.
to me about
Yes.
that, but you haven't talked to these guys, I don't think.
That was on here and I totally skipped over it. So the first budget is also with the County Social Service Board, cutting their meeting times in half from 12 to 6. And Troy, you said there's only like 3 of them that collected the meeting, right? So I mean, it's not a big deal, but in my time and my world, it's a big deal for me. And of course, that's pending approval of the Social Service Board, but
And what they do from a voucher standpoint, they just do two months at a time. Because we're approving the expenditures anyway at the county level.
Right.
And so when Social Services Board meets, it's water under the bridge usually anyways.
right.
So-
Right, or what, and things that we have done, like when I was on Eddie Foster Wells Board, they would send the vouchers out to the board chair and I would sign them and then send them back. So they were signed and ready for the commissions to approve and sign them. So there's,
Sure.
however you guys wanna do them.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever works.
Yep.
Not feeling a lot of opposition.
I hope not.
Any questions for Mary? I stopped in here and visited with her the other night for quite a while. It seems like it's going well. And we may have to change this, that, or the other thing going forward. This is a little bit of a shot in the dark at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I sure think it's going in the right direction. Ultimately, in my head, we'd have one set of books and one board and all that, but
We'll get there.
see what happens as time goes.
Yeah, see what happens with the legislative session. And I did run into Chris Jones last week, executive director for Governor Burgum, and we were visiting a little bit, and I mentioned to him that, now Griggs and Nelson are combined, and he said, good job, we were ahead of the curve, so that was pretty encouraging that we're moving that way without the state demanding or whatever they're gonna do, but.
Right. I don't quite have this square in my head yet, but the people that you talked to that didn't think we should form a district at this point in time, who was that again?
Steve Reiser, Terry Trainer,
Okay.
Rhonda
Well,
Allery, who
The
was
county guy.
approached by another county to form a district, and she was given advice at the time, don't do it because of not knowing what was going on in 2206.
Were those all NDACO guys that you just mentioned?
No, Steve Reiser and Rhonda Allery are
Directors,
county directors,
in other counties.
and they do districts. Rhonda does Lakes District, and Steve has Dakota Central.
Oh, Rhonda has a district up here?
Rhonda has Ramsey County and Towner County.
Oh, okay.
It was Benson a few years back, but Benson went off on their own. So
They
it's
did.
just Towner down.
So I wonder why they would do that. Oh, the reservations in Benson County, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they're. I think at the time they were looking for more, their director time, they were looking for a more hands-on director because there was probably some issues going on that they felt weren't being addressed.
I'm sure.
That was one.
And then they'd have control right at the blue building, I suppose, right?
No, they're not at the Blue Building.
Oh, they're Maywakin.
Well, there's an office in Minnewacan, there's an office at Fort Totten in the old Dakota Tribal Industries building. They
Oh,
rent
really?
space from the tribe. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're totally independent from the
So
tribe.
the Dakota Tribal Industries, that's no more?
Mm-mm. It
Really?
hasn't been for a while. The food distribution program and social services are in that big building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They were making armor when I was pounding around up there.
And then,
I think, didn't they
but
make-
Sioux Manufacturing did the nets. They did the Kevlar, the nets, the helmets. and
Okay,
then
that's who was doing
DTI
that.
did, I don't know.
I can't
I'm
remember
not
what
sure
they
what
built.
they might have did some, yeah. But Sioux Manufacturing's still going. It's Dakota Tribal Industries.
Okay.
It's not.
I see. Because they're military contractors, right?
Mhm.
So.
Okay, well,
Okay.
have to wait and see what the legislature does, but of course, they're not doing anything in the best interest of the social services, they're doing what's in the best interest of their budget. They took over social services and gained 4% overall throughout the state to make their bottom line and their budget look better. They might appear to be sympathetic, but they're not. They're sympathetic to getting reelected. So there's no guess, there's no telling what they're gonna do with this. But you
That's
can,
right.
you can guarantee whatever they do is gonna benefit the state financially. It's not gonna benefit us.
Well, look what happened when they took over child support a few years ago. It wasn't like they thought either, so.
This, they just saw a pot of money there. And they didn't dare take away that 12% matching fund, so they had to trade it for something. And they hoped that when they traded it for it, no one would realize
That
that
it
it
wasn't
wasn't
fair.
fair trade.
Well, it's been swapped about. We as county directors have been going at them, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
How good that does.
you read that article in the Whydah Daily yesterday about the deficit in Ward County,
Yeah.
Right,
It's
and
like
I talked about that with you,
5-6
didn't I?
million.
Why that is. Because when they went off 2015 expenditures, Ward County wasn't paying health insurance.
Right,
2016 rolled around, and that health insurance is a big
right.
hit, so now they offer that as a benefit, and it's coming out.
But I mean, not just their social services was a
Overall.
mismatch,
The whole.
their whole budget, because Ward County, the valuation of the whole county dropped. Plus, they took the 12% away. Plus, the health and the human services budget was a terrible mismatch to the
Yeah.
12%.
Huge.
They got like a $6 million hole to
And then
fill.
combined
Yep.
with a healthy dose of mismanagement.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but.
We don't want headlines like that in Griggs County, guys.
We've had enough headlines.
Had your 15 minutes of fame, huh?
Not,
Yeah.
not on purpose.
Okay, I will go back and I will, Jamie said, I did speak with Jamie yesterday to make sure that we were doing everything right, and so I'll have to call a special board meeting up and Nelson County, and then we should be good to go.
Okay,
Okay.
very good.
One way or
Thank you,
the
Mary.
other. All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mary.
Very refreshing to have coming under budget.
Well, just don't get used to it. Thank you.
Now where are we at, Sam?
C10, new courthouse tax increase.
Oh, no.
Nothing's changed with this. I just didn't have a motion on
You should look at, why don't we look
Sorry.
at page C7B?
C7B. C7B. Okay.
Yep.
Pretty big mistake on there,
Okay.
and you should be able to spot it. But and this is the sort of thing that makes me nervous.
Okay.
And I know I did send you an email on it too, on that, that it was here, but at any rate, for the health and life insurance, the estimated expenditure for 2017,
Was nothing.
Oh, okay.
it was actually 57,000, and that makes obviously a big difference to the carryover and the levy amount and everything. And I can just assume you ran out of time, because, you know, I put it on my spreadsheet, then I put it in the email that the 2017 health insurance has to be added back in there, but I don't know what.
I thought you were talking about the final appropriation when you said that, because I have it checked off that I had done that.
But I put in my email both 2017 and 2018.
Okay.
So that's gonna put a $57,000 hole in the carryover. It's gonna increase the levy by $57,000.
But I mean, it's just with our process, I mean, we're not gonna catch all those.
I know, but that's,
But yeah, it'll make a big difference in the bottom line.
It's taking from M1 constants.
And remember what you did to M1 Constance?
Sammy, you gotta give us control of the spreadsheet back. Because we gotta be able to see what's going on in this thing. You can't password protect it. When you send it back.
I didn't password protect it when I've sent it to Ron.
Well, okay, I mean, because.
I can send it to you. I just,
No, I don't know. I
the
don't
only
need
thing
it.
I ask is that I make the changes so that I understand.
Learn.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
understand the spreadsheet better. That's the only thing that I have asked of
That
Ron.
was my intent when I sent it to you, that on the one I sent to you, it was fixed.
Yep.
But can we password protect it so you can't make changes to those formulas?
If that's what you would like to do.
That's what I would like to do. Then for sure we're on the same page. Then if the formula got changed, then it was Ron or I that changed it.
Okay.
If you let Ron password protect it coming back to you, fine, we're fine with that. Because then there's no way in the world that it can get changed. Does that sound right, Ron?
Yeah, I hadn't, I don't know if we need a motion or anything, or just.
No, I think it's a gentleman and ladies agreement.
Okay.
Okay. But can you explain to me so that I can learn too? Because you guys aren't going to be here forever.
Oh, I know.
You know, and so
Well,
I just-
You can look at the head, well, that's the point. You can look at the header of the, I mean, we can print out, we could open up the spreadsheet and print it and show the count, and show the formulas in there, correct?
Mm-hmm, I think so. When it's password protected, can you still see the formulas? I don't know.
I don't.
But if not, we could open it up, take a screenshot of it,
Mhm.
and you could print that out, and then you could look at it and say, okay, this column has this formula in it.
Mhm.
Or I can
You-
print them by formulas too. I
Yeah,
kind of learned that.
Troy, does that make sense? That because of we're having these changes in the formulas, would it make sense to have Ron password protect the formulas? Let Samantha have the spreadsheet, do whatever she wants with it, take a screenshot of the formulas when they're opened up so she can see what the formulas are doing, so she can make sense of it, but she won't be able to change them. That way we'll be certain that what we're looking at is what Samantha's looking at, and it's never been changed.
Well, I said that before, and Ron's gone so far above the call of duty, but
Yeah.
I think annually, at least as long as we're using this spreadsheet, for this purpose. Everything with a formula in it should be protected by Ron.
I agree.
And all of the input fields should be left as input fields. So you can't type in a field that has a formula in it.
Yep.
The only other way that you can do that, if you're not familiar with the spreadsheet, which you're not going to be as familiar as the author,
No.
is every time you click on a cell, you got to look at the top and make sure there's not a formula up there. But once you've changed them like this now, once it's corrupt, you don't know how it's supposed to be,
And
because you didn't author the spreadsheet.
And I don't even have the spreadsheet on my computer, because just for that reason, I don't, for fear that I screw one of them up, so I don't even have.
Having more than one copy of a spreadsheet
Is
is
bad.
dangerous business.
Yeah, I know it is. And we've proved it over and over here for the last 3 years. It is
Right.
very dangerous business. So I think that this spreadsheet was created by Ron. I think it's prioritized to him.
If he's
I think,
willing to do
share
that,
it, to share it, right.
I
Because-
think he could sell it to 52 other counties in North Dakota
Yeah.
if he protected all those cells, because it's such a beautiful tool.
Yeah, and if it's never corrupted, if it can't be corrupted, then, and as long as we make the inputs from the input page rather than partway through this system, we should be able to take this year's budget and use it as a template for next year's budget, and for the next year's budget, and next year's budget. If we know for a fact that we can't corrupt those formulas.
So I'll protect the cells and password protect.
Yeah, just don't,
Okay.
I mean, just protect the formulas, yeah?
Okay. And password protected.
Yeah.
I think, and what I haven't done this for a long time. I haven't made a big spreadsheet for a long time. It used to be, once upon a time, maybe this was even back in the Lotus 1, 2, 3 days, I don't remember, but usually, if the author protected it, nobody else could unprotect it.
It was
It used-
called priority protection, and it went, and the first Microsoft spreadsheet, that's the way it was.
And if the author could give that authorization to another user, but didn't have to.
That's kind of the way it is now.
Is it?
I can protect it with or without the password.
Okay.
But no one else, you can.
Would I be able to unprotect it when I
No.
get it?
No.
Oh.
You don't want to, do you?
No, well, just so that it,
Put it this way, I don't want you to.
It slapped my hand, it's like, I don't want to, that's why I don't do it either. I don't want it, because I know for a fact that I'll be going too fast, and I'll click on something, and I'm just terrible with those things. So if it can't be corrupted, we're all better, you're better off, I'm better off, everybody's better off. And then we know for a fact that if something like this should happen, with a blank line, we know that it can happen. There was an input that wasn't made, not that the spreadsheet did it. So if there's a blank line, it's because we missed an input, not because the formula was corrupted. Yeah. And so Troy, I, Dale, none of us want to be able to look at those formulas or change those formulas. We want.
No, the PDF is just fine for me.
Yep, me too. Yeah, so we want Ron to have it protected and make sure that then we're assured that those formulas can't have changed. So then we can have confidence in this budget looking at it. It's nothing against you, as I said, I wouldn't do it. No one would want to do that because of the one keystroke and poof.
right.
And it isn't poof and you get to see a little trail, it's poof and where did that go and where did it end up and what did it change?
What was it supposed to be?
Yeah.
Because Samantha most likely won't know that because she didn't write the formula.
Program, right. But you'll be able to see what each column, what the formula is. We can, like I said, we can take a screenshot, print it out, or maybe you can click on it, it'll come up anyway.
I'm not sure.
Right.
I hope it comes up anyway.
Right.
So you'll be able to track it going through there, and if you just use this as a track, well, this should go to line 25, should go to line 3 over here on page B9. I mean, you can track it that way.
And I could even just give you an empty spreadsheet.
Right.
It's got all formulas in it,
Yeah.
but it's just maybe got test numbers And I use test numbers, as you know, quite a bit. I'll
Right.
just put 1 in every column and know that should add up to 17. Well, the 17 doesn't mean anything, it's just to check the addition.
Okay.
And to check that the 17 goes where it's supposed to go and stuff.
Yep. And then you'll have a blank form, and you can look at the last, once we have one budget, you can look at last year's budget and just input the numbers for the next budget into it. Make sense?
Well, he'll have to unprotect it for himself and move the stuff over to start a new budget, but.
Well, you could actually just start from a blank form and just, and manually put the numbers in from 17 right into it. That's what we've got, some of them have to be manually put in anyway. The ending balances, like for 19, ending balances for 17 will have to be put in there manually. All you really gotta do is fill out this back, all you gotta really do is fill out these bottom 4 lines for each budget, and then the estimated and the approved, and the rest of it should be done by the spreadsheet. So to help learn how you do it, it wouldn't be a bad idea to manually input it every year, just like you're writing it into this page, and you learn how it goes. Rather than overwriting an existing budget, just make a whole new one.
So you guys estimated the mill at 20,000 even this time, looks like?
I did,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, you were at what, 19,800 without the centrally assessed property?
Mm-hmm. Probably gonna be more than that, 20,250, 20,300.
Yeah, centrally assessed shouldn't go up too much, but I
No.
don't know.
Did you fix that township?
I don't get those numbers until probably October sometime. So what I did was I took the estimated, I subtracted that utilities and used last year's utilities, and came up with $19,859.27.
Okay.
But
And so then
the
I
mistake was in utilities rather than agriculture, was it?
utilities,
For
yep,
Broadview Township.
Yeah.
Broadview Township was
Yeah,
doubled in value.
yep. It was from the wind towers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
and then we had an increase in agricultural land here, and, I mean, so I think it's gonna be somewhere in that, but 20,000 is fine.
Yeah, agriculture wasn't much. What the heck was it?
This is before the state comes back with their recommendations too. So I don't.
Yeah, that was last year's, and then, yeah.
No, this isn't estimated for this
Yeah,
year's.
okay, all right. Now where are we at?
Go ahead, Samantha.
We were on that new courthouse tax
So
increase.
you got the retirement here, this health insurance, you're gonna get that changed?
That health insurance number, I've got it changed in there now.
You jumped over all these special revenue funds and went all the way to the back? Is that what we're doing?
No, we
Which
just
one?
went back to change this, to look at this B8.
Right.
And then after C8, we're going to C10. Is that what you said?
That's how far you are now?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yep.
I didn't change anything with this. I just didn't have a motion on Friday.
What's that?
For the
Courthouse tax?
yeah, new courthouse tax increase.
Do you have a payment schedule?
Yep.
Okay, so you know what it's gonna be.
Yep.
Okay. I haven't looked at it lately.
So we need tentative approval to the
Yes, please.
new courthouse tax increase, a levy of 142,835.76.
46.
Yeah.
46.
And then on page C1, that's where we add that 5% to it.
Right.
So we're actually going to levy for 149.
Right, yep.
977.23. But either number, I mean, you could say this number without the 5% for uncollected.
Don't you add the
taxes.
5% to everything though?
Yeah, generally, if they're under the levy
If they're
amount.
under the limit, so senior citizens,
Most of them.
library, we can't.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll be right up against the limit. And that's how you get the carryover in this new courthouse tax is because of levying more than it actually costs most of the time. Okay.
Move to second.
John moved and Dale seconded that we approve the new courthouse tax increase budget tentatively. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John? Aye. Dale? Ron?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. EOC grant, that should be gone, shouldn't it? I mean, it's gone.
Yeah.
There's just actuals in 2016. That's why I kept it.
Yep. Because it doesn't, next year it can go, but it doesn't get any unpaid tax into it. It was just, it's just void. It won't grow anymore. It's just gonna stay
No.
there.
The next one I have is C16 flood 2009, and with this one, Ron had informed me that I had missed estimated expenditures 2017 of putting that 11,005.
Where you at?
I'm sorry, C16.
How come we're not a 911 coordinator? Oh, we already.
Yeah,
did
you
that?
guys already did
Got
those.
got in there too.
Okay, no, I'm-
Sorry.
We're in C16, okay.
C16
No, I'm there.
flood 2009. I had didn't put the transfer out of the 11,522.79, but I did do it in the general fund. I just didn't do it on this budget.
Well, I thought it was here.
Uh,
I thought I saw it here on last week.
I put in the final appropriations the 11,000.
I saw that was there too, also.
Yeah.
But when you do that here, doesn't it pull forward? So
Yep.
she shouldn't have had to do that in another spot, should
No,
she?
you just put it here, and then it appeared automatically on page B25.
Where's here? I don't see it in this budget.
Down in, wow, transfer out.
The transfer out on page C16. She entered in 11,522.
In 16?
What's that?
On C16.
Yep, C16, but actual expenditure for,
And yeah, the transfer out 11,522.78, and that comes from last year's budget. So she just took last year's 2017 budget and put the 11,522.78 here.
Right. Did you punch that number in?
No,
That one pulled forward?
Well, no, you must have.
had to.
let me see.
But she should have punched it on CA16, but not on B25.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Nope, it's grabbing from it.
Okay.
On page B25, it takes it from page C16.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
C16. You know, I guess I wouldn't volunteer to do it, but technically, to save you time, I could take, like for this year, I could have taken all of those 2017 numbers, the final appropriation, and put them into 2017 estimated expenditures. Because that's what you do by hand.
Right.
You know, you take each one and you manually type it in. Well, the program could do that. It doesn't do it right now, but I'll think about it.
Well, I mean, it's probably a good exercise to
Yeah,
have.
it's
probably
fine.
is.
That way, if we ask the question, she can say, no, I actually checked.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I know that those numbers are,
Yeah.
like, yep.
Okay.
Try to have as little of the poof as we can. Where'd that number go?
Yeah.
The next one was
Let's
sorry,
back up.
Yeah.
Page C15.
Yeah.
15. Okay.
And again, I don't think we want an expenditure of 19,000 for that flood money.
Right.
I think that should be reduced to zero.
I do have them up.
But I think we want a 2018 transfer out of 19,165.68.
Okay,
And then in the new spreadsheet, that'll go to the 2018 column of transfers out to the general fund.
okay,
So you'll just have to enter.
So you've got this here, so the expense, take that, put that to 0,
put that to 0, okay.
okay? And then transfer out,
The 19,
put that 19, and in this bottom line will be 0, 29 will come up
Yep.
with 0.
okay.
And that'll be, it'll be a
Oh, sorry,
2018
I
transfer.
put it
Yeah, 2018 transfer out, right. There's a few more of them that we made that mistake on too.
in 2018 this is happening, not 17.
Yes, yeah. for this
18, right, so we're not, no expense in 18, so that means that, so now the balance from 31 is gonna transfer,
Okay,
that's gonna be the beginning balance of January 1st, and then we transfer it out, and it'll have a zeros. The bottom right-hand corner will be all zeros.
perfect.
Okay.
And this is once I make this change, it's automatically going to go to the general fund.
Mhm. In the latest spreadsheet that I sent you, that you're not using yet.
Okay.
So we'll have to,
Right.
because the one you have, the page B, you're using the old page B25.
Right.
And in the new page B25, it has the separate column for 16, 17, and 18.
So I should start using yours right now,
Yeah, I guess so.
or do you want me to send you?
Don't start using his until he protects the formulas
Yeah, so,
and resends it to you.
so it's gonna be a little bit of a period.
It's gonna be a pain in the ass to go through this thing one page at a time to make sure those numbers match on the input pages, but that's the only way
That's what you're.
that's the only way it's gonna work.
That's what you're gonna have to do, Sam. You're just gonna have to input it all over again.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of it, but the stuff we were talking about today for sure. And then some of the stuff that was manually input is not gonna get input again because it shouldn't have been
Yeah,
to begin with.
because I know on the one that I had, I didn't make all of the changes that you had from the previous meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
so I think the only way to do it is start from scratch, so you don't miss something.
Yeah,
Once you get his password protected format, I think you should take all the changes that we've talked about in both meetings and manually input them into it.
Last Friday's and this Friday.
Yep, and
And
manually
so-
input it in, then we know
Yep,
exactly where we started, and then we can go from there.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Human services, we're done with.
Yep. I go to emergency. And
So let's transfer, okay, human services, that's 75,000. Okay,
Yeah, that was that was last year when we moved that over. Okay, here's emergency, Ron?
is that where we are?
Yeah.
This is one that we're talking about.
I know that Ron had sent me a message that the estimated 2017 should have been about 125,000. I have on Friday that you guys made a motion to reduce that by 100,000, and that's why I reflected it here.
Well, right now, we're in the 2017 budget.
Mhm. The estimated expenditures for 2017.
Was 25,000.
Yep.
Okay.
At the last meeting, it was 125,000.
Yeah.
I had a motion by Ron to reduce the 2017 budget by 100,000.
And that's correct. Okay, so now at the bottom of that 2017 expenditure, now we're showing 129,000 being brought forward.
Right.
We don't want to lose that in the 18 budget, so we should reduce the expense in the 18 budget to 25,000 also.
Yeah, but I think to keep track of where we're going, or where we've been, it probably should say 125,000 up there. And then commissioner motion
Okay.
on August 15 to
Right.
to reduce it.
Oh,
The
Rescind
expenditure.
it or reduce it.
Yeah, to
Oh.
reduce it by 100,000.
budget amended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
budget amended on such and such a date.
So you got, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it'll be, the 25,000 on total is gonna be right. But at least when we look back at
Look
3
back.
years from now,
Okay.
and we say, how in the world did that change? Where did that 100,000 go?
Okay.
Right, and you see, we could reduce it to zero. The reason, if we ever need an emergency fund during the year, we can amend the budget to get the money. The reason that we don't want to put the whole $125,000 expense is for the reason that we talked about here a little while ago, is we lose it then in the next year's budget, because we're showing we're spending it and it doesn't carry forward. So then we have to levy for it, and then the next year it shows up again, and now we've got double the money in the budget. So that's why we have to do that, and we could
Okay.
take it to zero. It doesn't matter.
No, it really doesn't.
I mean, zero is the cleanest way to do it, because then zero, then it will show, if we put the requested or we put the final appropriation 2018 expense at zero, the bottom line in 29 would be 129,236.50, and that would still be available to us because we could amend the budget.
Yeah, if we have an emergency, then we can just
Amend the budget,
and say,
correct. So
take
I
out-
think to make the most use of it, we should just take it to zero, the expense.
It's fine with me.
The expense in next year's budget, you mean?
Right.
And leave it all in carryover, I guess.
Yeah, it'll still show up in the budget as a balance,
Right.
and it's more so for next year, because so next year we would have to use it as the estimated expenditure in 2018, just like we had to amend it 17 this year in order to get that money to carry forward. Without doing that, the money won't carry forward. So if you put the 2,000 estimated expenditure back to 125, now you're only carrying forward $4,500 into 18, and that puts us in a position where you have to levy. You really don't want the money trapped there, but
Yeah,
you'd get it back in 16. But for after 17, you'd get it back for the 19 budget. But
yeah, you'd have to keep doing this every year.
right, so we may as well just put an end to it and just levy zero and have the balance.
Sounds fine.
And especially an emergency budget, because you have to make a resolution anyway in order to use it.
Mhm.
The only thing I have with that is when we have an abatement, we do have to take some out of there. Would I have to come to you guys and have you amend that budget for each abatement?
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, then.
Or should we leave I mean, it's very
I mean,
little.
leave $5,000 in there. Does it something? Whatever you think.
I mean,
It
it's
wouldn't be that
very
much.
little. It's
Right.
maybe 1,000,
Yeah.
if that.
Whatever you suggest. Whatever you think would. Yeah, I never thought of that abatement.
In the expense line, you mean?
Yeah. I'd just leave a nominal amount there and leave $5,000 expense line.
Put $5,000 in miscellaneous or something.
Yeah. Yep. And that was my fault I suggested that a while ago that we do it the other way, and that wasn't, as it plays out, that we lose that money for a year. No, not right.
Okay.
Can I get a motion on that one? Or there was a motion on Friday to reduce the 2017 budget. So now I think I need a different motion.
No, because we're preparing the 18 budget. The 17 budget we still left it at that 25, right?
Well, yeah, but I wanted her to add a note in there.
Oh, right.
The commissioners made a motion to reduce it by 100,000.
Right, but that was the motion anyway, so that she can just add the note.
Yeah, I think so. Just to have the note.
Just make it back to 125,000 in the estimated, in the 2017 budget, and then
Right.
put another line below.
Yep.
Budget
Reduced.
amended, and subtract 100,000.
Yeah.
Leaves it at 25,000, and I mean, the rest of the math carries through then.
Correct. Yep.
So you're
And
still
then-
doing what the motion said.
Yep.
It's just adding some information.
But do I need like a motion to tentatively approve this budget?
Yep,
Too?
but, and then the 18 budget, if I understand correctly, you'd take the $125,000 expense out of there.
Yep.
Put $5,000 in the miscellaneous line.
Yep.
And then at the end of the year, you'd end up with $120,000 budgeted.
Yeah, 124, 236.50 is what'll be the bottom right-hand corner.
236.50. Well, mine says 4570.01.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that came from the 125 being subtracted from the balance. So we're only going to subtract 5,000 from the balance, from the 129 carried forward.
So it'd be 124,571.
Right.
Oh, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't I?
Well,
I don't know.
124,570.01. If that's what you said, I thought you had a different number than that.
Well,
Well, I thought you used the 236.50 or something.
what? So 129, 236.50 minus 5,000 will be
Yeah,
124, 236.50. If you subtract 5,000 from the balance, $129,000 balance, it's going to be 124, 236.50.
Well, then the math must have been wrong to begin with, because if 4570.01 was right, and you're gonna leave you're gonna have $5,000 expenses out of
Yeah, I think when I change the formula, it's gonna say 124,570.01.
has to.
Mm-hmm. Revenues under expenditure. Oh yeah, I got it. The 333.51. Got it.
The revenue
Yep. Yep.
difference.
124,570.01.
Okay.
Did you get your motion?
No.
Oh, so I'll so move that it be changed, that 125,000 be deleted, 5,000 put in miscellaneous.
I think she's got all of that stuff, right?
For
Yeah.
a total, I mean, that's in my motion.
Okay.
Okay.
I make a motion, we take a 5-minute break.
Can I get a second to that motion?
We have a motion on the table. So it's been moved by Ron that the 2018 emergency budget be tentatively approved as amended. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
I'm approving my
Troy,
motion.
Been moved by John that we take a 5-minute break. Is there a second? Second. Second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Call meeting back to order. Our tax.
The next one I have is county agent. I was supposed to email.
Just a quick comment on
Yep.
our tax.
Sorry, yep.
But in the new, you got, well, the transfer out, you got the 721.68.
Yep.
But it never got carried forward to page B6. So in the new spreadsheet, all you're gonna have to do is put that 721.68, and the formulas will automatically carry it forward for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that that carries forward.
Just put it in there, right here in the spreadsheet on this.
Right.
Yeah, don't carry it.
Okay, yeah. Just put it
Because
in.
if you do that, then we're jumping,
Put in.
it won't show up back here.
Sounds great.
County agent.
Um, Okay, I just emailed her to. Should we go to regional corrections and wait till she gets here?
Well, on the county agent
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
we had talked about that the secretary probably should get retirement.
She does not get retirement.
Okay.
She was put in 2/5. 2/5, they don't get any benefits
Okay,
at all.
I didn't know that.
Yep, no.
So,
What's her salary?
The way that this,
It's $20-some an hour then.
it's 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She makes 24 an hour.
But no, she doesn't. She makes 14.77 an hour.
Oh,
And so I put her in as a 2/5 employee.
Right.
So she gets no benefits, nothing through payroll. Megan was operating under that line item. Don't go over the line item.
Right.
So that caused,
So what happens is she actually worked 2/5 time, but she worked overtime.
right, it's a little bit over
then
that.
she gets retirement.
I don't think so.
No.
How many hours has she worked?
Last year she worked 1,135 hours last year.
So that's
She's
more-
over half-time, she's
That's
gotta
more
get
than half
benefits.
time, yeah.
But she was put in at 2/5. So she
Put
shouldn't.
in what?
So she was her classification. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Her classification was she was classified as a 2/5 employee that happened to work more hours but not on a regular basis.
But then you have to reclassify them. You owe her back pay.
Well, she got paid for it. She got paid the hours, but she didn't get paid the retirement.
Right.
Yeah, I understand.
She had it coming. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
by
it's fine if you don't do it, but someday she could come back and say, you know what? You owe me.
by she was classified as a 2/5 employee by virtue of the work she did. She worked more than 2/5 employee.
Do you have to fix it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think,
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you cannot, and hope she never takes you to court,
Yeah, I know.
but she would win.
Oh, yeah, she,
So with that said, she was a 2.5/5. So somebody needs to control the hours worked, and somebody named Samantha is going to have to help Megan keep track of that. Because she
Well,
must
we'll put
turn
it
in
the
her
budget.
hours.
We'll limit the budget item to 2/5 right now.
Yeah, but it isn't fair to Megan if she gets to the 5th of May and she's out of time.
Well,
I mean-
she's only supposed to be a 2/5 employee.
That's how the rest of the department heads they do it. They do it by the line item. So if they have a busier season, like right now, and they're working a little bit more, then they would drop back, later on, so that you kind of even it out, so that she is at the end of the year that 2/5.
So they're salaried
And they're-
hourly employees.
And there, but
No,
there is,
they're
and
hourly.
there is a grace period in here because the way it's set up, you don't get any health or life insurance, health or retirement until you're 3/5. So anywhere between 2/5 and 3/5, you're still not entitled to anything.
Well, you get health at 3/5, but retirement at 2/5.
No,
No,
so 3/5. So we're looking at this a little differently. 3/5 is a cutoff. So as long as we're below 3/5, you're okay.
I thought federal law was 50%. But maybe I'm wrong. If the state says it's 3/5, it probably
But
is.
so at 3/5 you get the retirement, you get all the benefits. 2/5.
Okay,
So if you were at 2.1516 fifths, you still wouldn't get it.
okay.
So she was roughly $100 under the threshold.
Yeah, the way it looks to me. So it should be okay.
Okay. But how do you calculate her pay?
hourly. So she is in there at 14.77 an hour, Megan signs off on her timesheet, we get her timesheet, we say how many hours, we punch that into our system, it calculates out for us.
How does Megan know when she's running
Twelve
out of
hundred and
time?
seventy-three hours?
It should be by the line item, if she's going, like, if she's going over on that line item.
73 hours.
2,000 times 4.
Every month, they'll get a monthly office report of their expenses and how much
37.5.
more they have to use and stuff like that, so it's,
It doesn't have the hours on it, hours worked on it?
no.
I can show you an example.
Oh, so,
Wouldn't that be easier if it had the hours worked? And you knew that you had 927 hours, and if they're,
not sure.
Yeah, I can see though how this wouldn't, I mean, I
Oh,
can
you mean the
just
60,
divide it by
651
whatever
years.
salary
Yeah.
she's getting.
I mean, it doesn't
But-
matter to me, it just, that's what I'd want to see.
But yeah,
You
just,
could work
so this,
170
I guess I've
hours.
just been operating off this
That's
line
what
item
it is.
and not knowing that she's supposed to be 2/5 or 2/5.
What was the salary? 14?
She's 14.77 an hour right now.
Okay, so she put in, then she worked 1,127 hours and 37.5 times 52 times 0.60. And she could, to be 3/5, she would have to work 1,170 hours, and she worked 1,127 hours. So she's under, so it shouldn't matter.
Okay, that's close.
Close.
So should we just say 2.75? Because during the fair season, that's when I.
Well, that was my question, now, are you gonna propose that she works 50% of the time or something? So you can keep using her more
think-
than the 2/5? I mean, that seems like that's where we're heading here. Correct?
I'd be happy with 2/5 or 2.5 fifths.
5/10.
Half
Five
time.
tenths.
Close to halftime.
Half time.
Close to half time.
So like,
More
you
than
know,
part-time.
during the slower season, 2 days a week, but during
Right.
the faster
Plus,
season.
if her annual income goes down too much, she might just go find something else, right?
And then I'll have to come back and.
And I'm
see
pretty
what the
sure
budget
she's
is.
handy if I know her, if she's anything like her parents.
37.
Huh?
Don't take her away.
14.77. So it should be $14,400. Would be the
The secretary?
secretary. 14,400.
That would be halftime then, John?
That'd be
Okay.
halftime.
14,000 for, okay, 75, and that's with the 0.003% rate.
That is, let's see, no, that was a 1477 times.
Okay,
So we need to take times 1.003. 1444, $14,443.95.
and 95 cents, got it.
And then you'll have to put the
Or
entire
what number did you get? Sorry.
$14,443.95. Because we were using the wage now, and we had to put a little bit of
Okay.
the increase, the COLA
Oh,
increase.
that's right.
Okay,
She does get life insurance, that's at $3.36,
yeah.
and obviously the FICA and job service.
Yep.
Retirement is spelled wrong in there.
That is.
And then can we do mobile homes on 25C? Sorry.
Mobile homes.
I just
So
had
I.
one, I guess.
Yep.
Back, I mean, all of the other deputies get 1558 and she gets 1477. I'm not proposing that she gets more, but just to point it out that
Yeah, that is a good point.
she doesn't make as much as the other deputies, and if that's what we want, that's what we want, but,
No, I think we have to be uniform. We've been uniform with everything else.
We've been trying to do that.
just because it's to the county's advantage to not do it doesn't mean we shouldn't do it if we're doing it with everybody else.
So what are the other deputies getting?
1558, right?
Okay.
So times 1.003, so that would be 1562.
Is that,
But I guess they've,
I can't remember if the 1558 is before the 1.03 or after, but
I mean, I would love for her to get a raise, but then she doesn't have the experience of the other employees.
yeah, so
But we've never
that.
stipulated that when
Okay.
we've hired anybody. They've come in at whatever they,
She's been here longer than some of the other deputies.
but we don't have a standard for that anyway.
No,
We don't pay based on experience or based on years in service.
Okay.
We pay base pay and then the increase by the COLA, so that shouldn't matter.
so what was your number?
Ron didn't know.
yeah, I think they're making, after the 1.003, they're at 1558.
That sounds about right. Is the
15.
1558 this time?
1558.
Yeah, because like if you look at, well, even your secretary, like on page B9,
Yeah.
what I took on that page, I took what she's gonna make, your deputy, 30376.31, divided by 37.5 and divided by 52 comes to 1558, so.
Okay.
15,190.50.
15,190.50 is correct.
Goes faster on a reverse Polish machine.
I haven't used one of those for a while.
Bought this baby in 1982 and I started in egg engineering.
You're kind of dating yourself, even understanding what a reverse Polish machine is.
You don't hear that term much anymore.
No.
So it's going down from,
Because Megan wasn't born yet either.
Always enter the negative before.
My
you enter the number.
calculator's older than you.
Yeah. Is that a Texas Instruments?
Hewlett Packard.
No.
yeah, I got a Hewlett Packard, and I bet it was more like 72.
Yeah. Positive.
Is it still working?
Positive.
No, I don't know whatever happened to it.
It was based on the principle of an adding machine. When
Yep.
you enter the numbers, it's where you got to put the negative or the positive before the number. And then,
Put two numbers in and then hit the signal, hit
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
side.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
And
It was-
it stacks four, so
Yeah.
you can do four equations
Yep.
and then plus, 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 and it'll add all the answers
Yep.
together.
Yeah,
Well, it'll do a 8x8 matrices.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just hard to switch back and forth between one, a new one and an old one.
Yeah. Apple doesn't know nothing about that. So is that all we need on the county agent's budget?
What was your question on the revenue there, Megan?
Oh, just if you add an I in mobile homes, sorry,
What's that?
an I in mobile homes,
On what page?
25C, Schedule C, page 25.
It's spelled wrong.
I'm sorry.
Oh, mobile is wrong.
Well, I mean, unless the M was supposed to be an N.
Oh, no.
Mabel? Oh, Noble. You know what else I noticed earlier today? I don't know why I didn't say something then. The register of deeds no longer exists. It's the recorder now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it says register of deeds in the budget,
Yep.
which isn't a big deal, but
On the revenues page, yeah. Maybe other places, but on page B3, it does say register of deeds.
Century Code actually gives you the ability to call it either one. That's what it says.
Do you want me to call it recorder?
Better ask Kelly.
Well, if somebody was reading the budget and they didn't know that they were
Yeah.
the same thing, it would be a little confusing.
Well,
Because it's stated both ways in the budget, depending on where you look at it.
maybe we should put it both, register deeds / recorder.
Could do that, recorder /
Yeah,
register deeds.
yeah.
It don't matter.
Yep, recorder / register deeds, that'd be good.
I got a reprimand letter from her today.
Huh?
I got a reprimand letter from her today.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Probably deserved it.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, you know what happened? The legislature changed a whole bunch of things with the register deeds office, the fees, and then one of the things they changed was you used to have to leave a square up in the top right-hand corner of the first page to record, and now they said you got to leave this whole thing open up here. Well, there's like 2 software companies that sell loan documentation and mortgage documentation. Laser Pro and Walters Kluwer, that are the only 2 I know in the whole country. Well, when little old North Dakota changes their rules,
Yeah.
and we had something up here, it takes them a little while to change software and then propagate it through the
Yeah.
rest of the world. And it don't matter anymore because of the way the legislature changed the rules or the fee schedule. So it's 1 to 7 pages is a certain number, and then 7 to 40 pages is another number. And your penalty for not giving them the amount of room that the Century Code says you're supposed to is you add 1 page to the document.
Oh.
Well, if
And
you
you
give them a
run-
19-page document, they can add 15 pages and it doesn't change the fee. So we're gonna get nasty grams until our vendor changes their documentation. But it didn't. Anyway,
So it was a scolding based on principle. Oh, so we need
need a motion to approve the county agent's budget tentatively as amended
and corrected.
and corrected.
So moved.
Been moved by John to tentatively approve the county agent budget as corrected and amended. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron? Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
So, chemical hazard we did, right?
Yeah.
Great, the next one I go to is regional corrections on C31.
Okay.
Unless Ron's gonna stop me.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Weed control. I
Weed.
think this is another one where we made that correction.
Oh, take that expense out of there? Is that what you're talking about, Carrie?
Right. Commissioner actually needed to reduce the 2017 budget. I think we should have the same note in there as we did on the emergency.
It's in there.
Yeah, well, it's not worded the same.
Motion made on August 18th.
Right, yeah.
Oh, it says commissioner action needed.
Yeah.
Oh, so somebody needs to make the motion.
Well, I think we didn't.
We did.
You just need to put motion made on commissioners.
So there was action taken.
I
Yeah.
think it was, so the note should probably just say commissioners.
I will make sure that that action was taken, but
Yeah, I can't remember
I
for sure. if
I
it
do
was.
believe so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not
I just didn't, I mean, I looked at it and said needed. Maybe that was already on there before the last meeting.
Yeah, I think
It was.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been on there for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then where's page 28A?
That might be. It should say 29.
It should be 29C.
Okay. So,
Oh no,
Oh,
29. Yeah,
29A.
29A. Sorry.
So 29C,
A.
do you wanna take that 61,500 out of the expenses?
Well, we can't because of, if you go back to 29A and you read, this is the formula, we need to have at least 3 meals.
I see.
So-
Oh, that's right.
So we
Okay.
need to reduce it to 60,000 if we're gonna be using 20,000 as a meal.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
You got that, Sam?
I'm sorry.
Okay, we need to reduce the final appropriation in 2018 to 60,000 because we're using 20,000 as a meal.
Okay,
Right.
60,000.
Yeah.
Got
But
it.
obviously, if the value of the milk comes in at 20,300,
Right.
then we
Yeah, change.
then we need some subsequent action. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're not gonna spend it anyway. It would just be a little bit under the it wouldn't make any difference.
So that estimated mill amount, now that doesn't propagate from this back page here, huh?
No.
Under the new formulas, it does. Under the new formulas, Samantha just has to put it on page M1.
Right.
It didn't to the weed one, but to like C1 through C5 and E1 through E1 and E2, it does.
Okay.
But the weed one, I guess I could revise it easily enough to make it 3 times the constant on M1.
But on the budget page, you have to put a dollar figure in anyway, so
Yeah, so I as well just not even.
Oh,
Yeah,
you have to be entered in dollars.
okay.
yeah, and
Sure, that's true.
that'll be unprotected anyways.
Right. Yeah, the budget will.
Yeah.
I get it. It was just the oversight thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we already approved that, though, didn't we? We'd already approved that, hadn't we?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, we just didn't change it.
But that don't matter anyway.
No, not much.
So regional corrections,
What page is
C31.
Oh, yeah.
Regional corrections. You guys wanted me to look into that 9,000 of the state aid to see what can be done to receive that. I talked to Bob, and he's got no control over that. That is just money that came from the state treasurer's office.
When do we get them once a year? Based on the number of prisoners or something, I suppose. But is there an application that has to be sent in saying we had X number of prisoners? And
He said no. He said he's got nothing to do with that revenue.
that's probably why we don't receive it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we got 2561 in 16. I don't know why we estimated 9,000 in 17.
I think that came from Bob.
Well, I don't know, likely. Have we gotten anything this year?
This year.
No, I don't think we have. Yeah.
I don't think so. Looking for regional corrections.
And we've got 0 in our estimate for 2018, which is probably unrealistic. Maybe, well, I don't know if it's unrealistic or not.
Nope, we have not received anything except for $376.95 for taxes, mobile home, and penalty and interest. Regional corrections. State aid for 2015 was $12,958.98 actual. That's maybe why we got the
But in
9,000.
the budget here, it doesn't say that.
No, for 15.
15,
Oh, 15.
yeah.
So it went down $10,000 in 16. I wonder what in the world happened.
No, I don't know if it comes from the Department of Prisons or who it comes from? Or
It comes from the state treasurer's office.
Oh, okay.
That's, when I did an account history, that's where it was coming from, but
Yeah, I don't know what the formula is.
Don't know. So I think we should use the last actual revenue as the estimated revenue for 2018. I think that's a safe way to do it.
2,600 or something?
2561.91.
You didn't want to round that up to the nearest hundred.
I want to be able to look at it so I know why we did it.
And one question.
Yep.
In 2016, we transferred out 1126.85, and we transferred it into the general fund, I think.
so many reports right now. Transfer out. Where is it? I have a transfer out on Harold's audit of $1,126.85. That's how I got that number to work out.
And I guess, I'm guessing that was from when we accidentally levied 10 mills against it, that maybe 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably mobile home and penalty and interest and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like it should have been, instead of the general fund, it probably should have went to road.
Road, yeah.
And we just, I mean, it's not that big a number, I guess, but. But if that was the case, you know, doesn't it seem like that should have been transferred into the road fund?
Yeah, and all the transfers that I've done have been into the road, and even on my account history, I have all of them going from regional corrections to FAR or to road.
Oh,
It was
okay.
FAR before, but then we put FAR with road, and so now it's just gone into
Okay.
road.
Well, then on Harold's audit, I can't come up with that $127,000 transfer in if you take that 1126 away, but, you know, I mean, it's within 1,000, so.
Yeah, let's just leave it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had to, we could transfer from the general fund to the
Yeah.
road if you wanted to make it square.
Yeah.
But we really can't back up into 2016 and make an adjustment anyway. It's already
Yeah.
closed out.
But that's more than likely, that's what it is
Yeah.
back taxes or mobile home and stuff, so, okay.
That would make sense. So we're still not gonna have to levy then for the regional corrections? But we probably are next year.
Yeah. Yeah, if, instead of the estimated 9,000, if we get an actual 0, that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be quite a hit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would make a motion to tentatively approve regional corrections as presented, I guess.
Been moved by,
As corrected.
As corrected, excuse me. Excuse me.
been moved by John to approve the regional corrections budget tentatively as corrected. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John,
Aye.
Dale, Ron, Roy votes aye. Motion carried.
Now you guys go to water board.
Nobody's coming?
I talked to Bob Brooks last night,
Okay.
and he told me that they will put on the special assessments for next year for the TB04. He said this is going to make more work for me, but I said that you're fine there. He said that they are going to
More work for him or for you?
for me, he
Yeah.
said. And then they said that it's going to be 1.3 million with a 50% cost share. So they're going to come up with some numbers for that special assessments to put on since they don't have actual numbers. And
So where's the cost share coming from?
State Water Commission.
Oh, there we go.
But they're already doing it wrong. You levy for the full amount, and then in the preceding years, you deduct from that levy the cost share. You levy for what was voted on. Because it just gives you the ability to levy for that. You don't have to.
Because going forward, in your budget on that drain, you would budget the state revenue and you would levy the difference.
That's right.
But if the state decides they don't have any more money, you then have the ability to pay for it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able
That's
to get it
absolutely
done.
correct.
Yep.
So it has to be levied.
But is the state gonna, state does the cost share up front all at, or after the project is done all at one time?
I'm not sure.
I don't know that. It doesn't matter. It's still, the procedure is the way, you levy for what was voted on, the full amount that was voted on.
I kind of think they pay it because it's.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna answer it. It's just a,
were you at the meeting yesterday, Dale?
No.
No, okay. Jamie went and Tom Moe was supposed to come and talk to you guys at your next meeting. Jamie didn't know about this meeting, and
He was here at the last meeting. You noticed it.
right. So I, then and reminded him,
Whatever.
and but then he thought that the next meeting was September 1st when it's the 8th. So I don't know when Tom Moe was going to come and speak with you guys, or if he is.
He doesn't need to.
I think it's really irrelevant. I mean, the
You
water
read
board,
this, you read the century code. The water board has the ability to fund this stuff in about 4 different ways. And one of them is general tax dollars. But we approve the budget, and we don't want it done that way. I don't care what Tom Moe thinks.
that's correct. That's correct. I don't believe that the general public should be paying for projects that only benefit a few. That's why we have the assessments. And just because Tom Moe says they can do it that way,
Well, he's doing-
doesn't get him the money.
He's doing a blend.
Yeah, he's doing a blend.
Yeah. He's funding it with public money until they get.
Well,
their ducks
but they
rolled
don't know if they're ever going to come out on it.
No.
So the all the taxpayers of the county shoulder the risk for a few people that want to do a project.
Right.
But here's the century code. The acquisition of rights of way, easement, and the construction, operation, and maintenance of a project in a district may, in the discretion of the Water Resource Board, be financed in whole or in part by special assessments against property benefited by the project, or from revenues realized from general tax collections,
Right.
or from net revenues to be derived from service charges to be imposed and collected for the services of the project, or any combination of such sources.
Yep.
So they're coming here and asking us to approve their budget with the general tax dollars funding these projects. And we're just saying, no, we don't like that. We don't want to do that. So that just took that option off the table. Yes, it's legal. We know that. It's just not gonna happen in Griggs County.
Yeah, I mean, we've never argued it wasn't legal. They've argued that it was, and yes, it is, but it doesn't make a difference. I thought that was made fairly clear last meeting.
I thought so.
You guys can do whatever you want, but with no money, you can't do whatever you want. I mean,
So,
yeah. So anyway, looking at their budget then, what's left?
well, they need the budget revenues.
Hmm?
Are they gonna come with I mean, when are we gonna get a budget to look at? Or what?
Well, see,
Did they say?
So
This is what he told me, and I said, do you want somebody to be at the meeting to say this? And he says, nope, if you can do it, that would be great. So this is what I got.
And what is it?
That it's going to be 1.3 million, 50% of it cost share, and they will put special assessments on next year for the TB04.
but that won't be reflective in this year's budget anyway. So KT2, KD1B, and CT2A all have revenue.
Right.
And only two of those are to be spent. Only two of those have an appropriation request, KD1B and KD2A. So those are an in and out, so those should be okay. The Upper Cheyenne has no revenue. Silver Creek has no revenue. The engine, well, let Dale explain. First of all these projects, no matter what they're doing, even if they're cleaning an existing waterway, are supposed to be paid by the people benefiting, correct?
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
And if they don't pay, if the people that are, if you have a natural water course to your property and it needs to be cleaned and you aren't doing it, the water board can come in and compel you to do the work and pay for it, as I understand it. That may not be quite right.
Right. So as I read the water board, and it is a big century code.
You know,
I don't think there's any projects they do that need to be paid for with general tax dollars. Every one of the projects they do, they have the ability to pay for using the people that are utilizing it.
mm-hmm.
So all this, the engineering is the same way. So if they can't do projects other than having other people pay for them, there's no need for engineering because the engineering should be included in those projects.
Well, one question on the Upper Cheyenne, is that outside of, is that in Nelson County and Barnes?
It's part of I won't say a district, it's
Yes.
Cooperative.
it's a
Coalition?
coalition, yeah.
So I mean, that wouldn't, should that then be paid by all Griggs County?
I would say so.
So that should be paid out of levy money, from what I'm hearing.
What is
you
it?
say.
I really don't know.
It's a bureaucracy.
Yeah,
It is
go to
just-
meetings and deal
Yeah.
with water issues along the entire.
Where are they?
Where are the meetings? They're at different places at different
Valley
times.
City, Devil's Lake.
Sometimes.
Where's the Upper Cheyenne? What's the the headquarters?
They don't have one. It's a coalition of water boards that dealing with the Upper Cheyenne River, but it goes all the way to Valley City, correct?
Yeah, and then there's a Lower Cheyenne.
Yep, from Valley down.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they evidently collaborate on issues that affect all of them along the Cheyenne River.
Right.
And I don't know if their amount they pay is a percentage of your mill or something.
No, I don't know.
I don't know the details on that.
It's a quarter of a mil,
No.
is what quarter or half.
It's
Yeah.
$13,000, isn't it?
87, 78.
Oh, okay.
which is probably pretty close to I don't know.
Third? No,
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
So I mean, for sure Silver Creek can come out of here. For sure the Thompson Bridge outlet can come out.
Engineering?
Yeah, I mean,
Where's the you would take Thompson Bridge, right?
well, these are just
Snagging, clearing, cleaning waterways? Why would,
that seems to be an every year item in there, and I haven't found an expense related to that yet. Have you?
No, they do it on the river when necessary, I think, so
But I mean, I haven't. When you look at
if they've spent money on
if they actually spend money on it, it doesn't
Yeah.
appear to be that way.
well, why would they, what benefit is it to go down and do that on the river?
I think
helps the canoeists. If you want a canoe up and down. I mean, seriously.
And that should be the responsibility of the taxpayers of Griggs County.
No, I'm not saying that.
And the only reason I say that is because now that they're pumping that lake, it's changing that river so much. There's so much stuff in there.
no.
It's fruitless to go do anything in there.
Yeah, banks are falling, and
The river's changing course.
that's what the Upper Cheyenne addresses is.
Well, yeah, they can't change that either.
They're trying to get the state to
Reimburse the
reimburse for
landowners.
damages for this, and that's what they work on, to try to get them to admit that they're the cause of it.
Well, that's fairly obvious.
Yeah, but they don't take responsibility for.
Well, I don't know they had a better option, but I'm just saying the net effect of it has been huge on the river channel itself. So I'd take that out of there too. If it was me.
Yep.
With putting the special assessments on, wouldn't that then be general or the estimated revenue for 2018 of half of that 1.3 million for the TBO4?
Where you at? No.
When he says that it's 1.3, an estimated of 1.3 million, half of it is cost share, and they'll put the special assessments on next year for the TBO4. Wouldn't that then be half of the 1.3 million for revenue for the TBO4 in next year's for?
No, because it doesn't come as one lump sum.
It's over, what, 10 years or something?
Yeah, whatever they're going to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
We don't even know that amount.
We don't even know that.
You don't think the state pays that cost share in one lump sum?
I don't know that.
I think they do, because it comes out of the biennium, it's,
Yeah, maybe they do.
They're under the same century code that we are. They'd have to budget that. They can't budget it 10 years from now.
No, I know.
when you go to the state water commission and they start handing out money, they have $650 million or whatever their budget is, and they have allocated it to all these projects, so it has to be spent in that biennium or budgeted for that biennium.
So then there should be a $650,000 TBO4 revenue line item, shouldn't there?
Yeah, but it's not our
I know.
job to do that. We can only deal with what they give us. If they don't want to come to the meeting, and I mean,
Well, they gave it to her. So if she wants to be nice to them, she can put it in there.
but then we have to put the revenue in alongside it. It's just a wash. You put the appropriation in, and you put the revenue on the other side, and it washes.
I know that.
And
But the other half of it's what we need to deal with, because they're they're asking for a mill levy for that drain, and they should be asking the participants for that revenue, not us.
And it's too late to levy the money for this budget anyway. There's no money coming into this budget. If they won't get, the levy will not put money into this budget, so it doesn't make any difference.
No, that's right.
Sorry, I'm
Oh,
understanding. I'm,
See, so
I'm not looking
if
at
they
you
put
like.
this if they put this in place, it's not gonna put money into this budget.
Won't put money in
Oh,
18.
oh, okay. I understand. I
Yeah,
understand.
There would be no money into the coffer, so it doesn't make a difference.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to look at you.
No. I was.
Oh, and they don't have an expense in here for TBO4 for next year.
Yeah, they do. They
Yeah, it's
put it down in their
Thompson
Thompson
Bridge.
Bridge outlet.
Oh. So then the question is, are you going to allow them to do that one more time as they transition to doing these things the right way?
But I mean, that's up to you guys. There's so many liabilities hanging out here that aren't reflected in this budget, that we as county commissioners might have to stand behind. If, for instance, one of the people that put up the money, what do the participants know? Petitioners would demand their money back, that would essentially have that account have a negative balance, and we're required by law to come in there and make that whole. We would have to front the money.
And then make sure it gets levied back to them.
That's correct. That's back to us. The county would have to come in out of the general fund.
We would have to reimburse the petitioners.
Correct.
And then turn around and put on a special assessment for all the participants to reimburse the county.
We'd put a lien against the levy
Yep.
to reimburse the county. And actually, it's in that position already, because the assessed drains do have a negative balance if it wouldn't have been for the fact that they use taxpayer dollars to support them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a gray area, but you realize there's $160,000 been spent on that TBO4 already of
Right.
taxpayer dollars. It isn't reflective here.
And same with Silver Creek.
80,000 on that
money
one.
spent on that. And TBO4 is waiting for a permit that the Corps doesn't have funding to process.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much of these many of these things are the responsibility of the general taxpayer.
Right. So their budget, they turned in a budget here of a minus $86,000 balance at the end of next year.
That means we have to levy that takes up the 4 mills plus.
Oh, I see.
So if you took off the or the Silver Creek 590, is that 88 or 98?
88.
550 and 1058. 10,588, and you took off the 15,000
$61,588.
plus the 36,000. 61,588. $24,743.50 is what.
Or do you want to levy the 4 mills and hope they do what they say they're going to do?
Did I miss one that you guys took out the Silver Creek snagging, cleaning and clearing, and Thompson
out.
Bridge. Just those three?
And engineering.
Engineering, okay, that's where I was, okay, thank you.
And do you want Samantha, well, I guess we haven't made a motion.
No, I'm just putting, I mean, you know, this budget then is cutting them down to a three-person board. The $9,600, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. But we already know that at a 5-person board, they were projecting $16,000.
You've already spent more than
They've
that.
already spent 21,000, if you have it 6 months, so they're $42,000 is what their actual cost for the board members is, and they're projecting 16,000. What indication do we have that the rest of the budget isn't as bogus as that is? And I don't see a dollar amount on here for carryover either, although that's kind of a gray area also in the underwater board budgets. They get to keep the money that was appropriated for the purposes it was appropriated for. So
They don't have to turn carryover back to the general fund.
no, it's a hybrid. They have to keep the money that it was appropriated for. So if it was appropriated for a project, they get to keep it. If it was just something they never ever spent money on, they couldn't. I mean, if it was a bogus.
If they just put it in future projects generic.
You can't, yeah. So I would like to put the money into a standalone account that we had control over, but you can't do that because then in fact, in essence, we would be the water board.
I haven't got their July minutes or anything yet.
Well, I had to. Do you guys have that handout they gave us?
No, I don't think I think I took it home.
I have it.
You have it, Troy?
Yep. That one?
No, where they gave the account of their expenses.
Oh, that printout.
Hmm. Or was it in the meeting? It was probably.
It was in the packet.
It was in the packet, so yeah. Here.
From last time?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go and make some copies?
No, I must have it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
Right here. I got it. I got it.
It'd be in the back of that, of your
18.
other packet.
Starting on page 40.
There you go.
What was the question, John? What were you looking at this for?
Oh, just to see that if any of the costs in here match the,
What they're asking for?
right. See, the other thing that really kind of bothers me a little bit is, look on page 42. Under engineering. Not only are the engineering costs associated with Renaissance Engineering for doing all these things, but you get paid for the meeting, for coming to the meeting.
They also pay their secretary to come to the meeting
I know,
and pay them mileage.
I know,
Same, is it the same with the treasurer too?
yeah. I don't know.
But their accountant, yeah.
Yeah.
They're getting a monthly wage and then you're getting paid to attend the meeting and then you're getting paid mileage.
Yeah.
What does Marla do?
And it's Marla Miller, not Larson. Sorry,
Oh.
I meant to call you yesterday.
She's their secretary.
One's the secretary and one's the.
Bookkeeper?
Um,
Oh, I thought it was Marlon Larson, but down by Hannaford.
Is it Marla Miller?
It's Miller.
Miller.
secretary and bookkeeper.
I don't know who she is.
$7,600.
I don't know Marla Miller. Where's she from?
I think she's Sheila Munson's sister. But I don't know where they lived or
Well, she's from Daisy originally, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
So-
I don't know originally, that's where she went.
they're from Underwood.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sheila's married to an Anandson.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember his name.
Sheila was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then somebody else too. Right, John?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Who's that, who lives on that Anderson farm going to Mexico? That's not Onenson on that mailbox. That's her kid, I think.
Oh, yeah.
He teaches at school.
Mhm.
So what I was looking for is snagging and cleaning clearing waterways. There wasn't any expense for that in there at all.
Works up at this school?
Midco.
Oh,
And I see that on all the, if you go back in their,
Ringsted.
yeah, if you go back into their previous budgets, it's always in there, but I never seen an expense for it.
They've probably never done
Yeah,
it. Or not for a long time.
not for a long time. I think it's an R-tax type thing.
I think probably cleaning the trees out of the river helps with flooding and some,
Yeah.
so ice jams.
Well, that was the Corps that was doing that though.
Mhm.
And they never made it down to my place. They did a bunch of it up there by the,
That was the guard, wasn't it?
was it? Up by that, jeez, man, brain failure.
I think, wasn't that the guard doing it for the Corps of Engineers?
Oh, maybe.
Running around with those Humvees, pulling stuff out of the river?
Well, these are big tracos.
Oh,
Brooks told me Barnes County spent like $250,000 last year.
well. So what's your recommendation, Dale? You're the closest guy to this thing.
I just have a lot of trouble with how much they spend on administering what they spend. It's virtually half their appropriation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you weren't at the last meeting.
No,
John, at that point, recommended that we go to a three-man board. And they've been serving 4-year terms, but the century code says they're three-year terms. So there's 2 of them right now that are, really, their terms are expired.
And one at the first of the year. Will be.
Oh, the third one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So if we wanted to, we could go to a three-man board. Now, of course, our state's attorney recommended that we don't do that because of the 3-man commissioners over at Foster County ended up being such of a circus. But I don't know that that's a good reason to do that. The other thing is, I don't know that the water board needs to meet twice a month. So,
I think they create a bunch of work for themselves that isn't their job.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a policing force, and I don't think they're mediators. I think they're administrators. And it seems like most of the things they do are trying to settle disputes, and I don't see where that's their purpose. But
they tend to do some things that are out of their scope. If townships need culverts, they have money, so the townships come and get culverts on them, and that's not fair.
and I don't think that's in this budget.
yeah. Oh, maybe it's not, but it sure is in their expenses.
I know.
So,
I mean, their budget doesn't. If you didn't have a name on top of these, and you looked at those expenses, and you looked at this budget, you would never know that they were the same organization. From what they spend and what they're planning to spend, you'd have no idea. But
No, what they've spent in 16 and what they're proposing in 18 aren't, or 17 aren't,
no,
they don't match up.
nothing matches. Yeah, I mean, or 16. I mean, the columns here, there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
for 17, and maybe they just forgot to. But it just seems to be whole new budget lines. Maybe that's not the right, maybe that's not the way it is, maybe they just didn't put it in. I don't know.
Estimated expenditures for 2017, that's just my number.
Yep.
I just did that.
How much have they spent year to date? How much have they spent year to date?
66,000. I think it's in there.
Page 40.
That's 66,613.
But 40,000 of it's on engineering.
Right.
And they got $160,000 in their checkbook.
The 40,000 for.
So even if we reduce their mill levy, they'll still have enough money to do whatever they want to do to get these drains going.
Correct.
Plus they have the money that they've already spent on the drains that they'll get reimbursed for.
And 80,000 and another 70,000, so there's 150,000 hanging out there in reimbursement from those drains too.
That they can levy for. They won't.
They won't.
Yeah, but they won't.
So, what are your wishes?
Well, maybe we should go line by line. So line 1 is a CT2, it doesn't have a appropriation. Line 2 is a KD1B, it's got a revenue and an appropriation. That should stay, I suppose.
Okay.
KT2A, same thing. Line an appropriation and a revenue.
Okay. Upper Cheyenne.
Don't know. I mean, there's also a line for Upper Cheyenne meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Are there joint ventures they do with them?
I don't know what they do. You know, they meet and try and work on issues along the river. I don't know that if they're funding projects jointly or not.
It doesn't appear like that, anything in there.
Yeah.
What, do you just want to remove those 4 items and be done, or what?
Well, I mean, Silver Creek for sure, that's gonna be assessed. Thompson Bridge is gonna be assessed. They gotta be out for sure.
Snagging, clearing, cleaning, they never do.
They never do, and the engineering, I don't feel very, very good about spending engineering money to an engineering firm that's already been paid $140,000, didn't finish the project, didn't have a bid. I don't feel very good about it.
Right. But it shouldn't be our money anyway, probably.
What's that?
Shouldn't be taxpayer dollars anyway.
No, it shouldn't be.
So take it out of there.
Yeah, the question is, why doing this will get after their ability to finish the projects, and I don't think it will.
No, they have $150,000 on hand,
And
and they're gonna get another $150,000 reimbursement in 2018. If we lowered if their assessment went down by 2 mills, it's not gonna affect their ability to do anything.
Yeah, it's gonna go down with, yeah, they're only gonna get, doing that math, they would
Oh.
get $24,000, so it would be,
Oh,
they'd get 1 point some mills.
okay.
I don't know what,
They've been getting 4 minutes,
375, isn't it?
375.
No, they've been getting the full 4, I think.
Have they?
I think so. I think that's what we got last year, and the year before.
I don't see any reason that they need to sit on all that money just hoping for something to pop up to spend it on.
3.99 16. How come I have
I don't think it would be unreasonable.
13 and then it skips to
Cut it
16?
by half, we've got,
Raise the totals, keep that collection going.
if you want to stay at that 0 net increase.
I can print them out for you
Or should
if
we
you
cut it by
want.
half?
I can print them
Arbitrary
out for
number,
you
or
if
should
you
we use
want.
line item?
14 and
These
15
all
and
the
nothing.
same. They're not gonna follow the line item anyway.
No, but I mean, we could, by line item, we could at least, you know, Upper Cheyenne, or the Silver Creek and the engineering and snagging and cleaning of Thompson Bridge outlet. We can kind of justify, you know,
They're gonna spend what they have on what they're gonna spend it on, regardless of our wishes.
not, yeah.
Till they run out of money.
Yeah.
Till they run out of other people's money. So I guess the Upper Cheyenne is a question mark, and I can't make that, I don't know, I can't make an argument
You
either
know, I
way for
really
them.
don't know enough about how the Upper Cheyenne works. I've never been to one of their joint meetings. They have them, you know, in Devil's Lake and different places.
What does that come to then, Troy?
What's that?
Are you doing the math on
What's that?
that? Or if we deducted those 4 items off there?
Oh,
So I came up with 61,566 in my head, but,
51,588.
51 or
61.
Okay.
or 61.
So 111,978.81. 61,588 minus $50,390.
No, you gotta go back to the 86, get subtracted from the 86,000.
Huh?
You gotta subtract it from the $86,000 to get what the levy will be.
I thought you subtracted from the 111,000.
That's what I thought too. but,
Well, you can, but then you still gotta carry it through in the worksheet here.
Well, yeah.
It's easier just to go to the very bottom right-hand corner.
Okay, I guess it would be the same thing.
Then you don't have to carry it all the way through, but you can carry it all the way through.
That's where you came up with 21.
Oh, 50,000 and then minus 82,543.
Well, if you wanna carry it through, but by reducing the expenditures by $61,000, it reduces the levy by exactly that amount.
So you get $36,030.69.
It should be that 86, 3150 minus 61,588.
Correct.
And what did you get?
24,743.50.
That's what I get when I do it in the
Sounds right.
spreadsheet.
That's what, you in the spreadsheet, that's what you get?
Yeah.
Yep.
What, 24,7?
43.50.
If their budget was laid out the way it should account for every dollar that they have in their checkbook.
It should.
Yeah.
So does that make sense, doing it that way? And there's still money to finish the projects if they choose to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that'll impinge their operations any.
Okay. So we need to remember to make the motion then to reduce the, or maybe we should do it now, reduce the water board to 3 members as of the first of the year. But maybe that isn't to be done now. Maybe that's at the next regular meeting.
Yeah,
Don't
Put on the
matter.
board on the meeting.
yeah, yep. It's not on the agenda.
Right.
So I think they should be spending some of that money they have in reserve rather than getting an allocation every year. What good's it doing sitting there?
No. Not doing very good at all. Okay.
What are you doing, boys?
Waiting for you.
Whatever you tell us to do.
I was waiting for a motion.
Oh.
I'd move to reduce the appropriation to the water management district from 86,331, 24,743.50.
Do we want to name the exclusion or the line items that we excluded?
To come up with that, we removed Silver Creek, engineering, snagging and clearing, and Thompson Bridgewater.
It's been moved by Dale to amend the water board budget, water management budget, to an appropriation of $24,743.50. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron? Troy votes aye. Motion carried.
Okay, that should be to the end. And then if you guys wanted to go through revenue.
General fund revenue.
Yeah. Is that where you went, Troy, or do you do?
I was just looking at this ambulance. There's no revenue in 18.
That, it's a 1 mil levy. You know. So they're asking for 26,000, they're only gonna get 20,000, that's all we can give them, correct? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll cut me off at 1 mil.
Right.
Where are we going now?
If we didn't do anything with general revenues.
And one comment on the library, you know, we'll need the value of Cooperstown to subtract out.
Right.
I just took 4 mills against the whole county, and so that's obviously incorrect. That's,
Did you want to estimate that
well,
number?
You can email it to me, I guess, if you have it.
Absolutely.
Whatever the value.
I'll make a
We
note.
met probably still don't know yet. We don't
Excuse
have-
me, what?
We still don't have the central assessed properties from
No.
Cooperstown either, but it'll be a better approximation, I guess.
Okay.
So you're on these last two pages, or what?
Levy, last year it was 71,960.87, so if we add a couple percent to that, it would probably be pretty close.
What page are you on?
I'm on the 17 budget. Other county levies. So last year, rural library district,
Oh, okay.
4 mills, but we levied 71,960.87.
Yeah, so that'll be closer than, I think we just used 80,000 yet for 2018, which is wrong. So, yeah, we can get that closer.
And they had a budget amount of 80,000 last year too, you know.
Yeah.
I did want to ask one question. I know that I ran into this problem the first year I did levies with the library. I levied 3.9 each or something. It was just below 4 mills because I put in the dollar figure that you guys approved and not the mills. Do you guys, if a mill comes up above what you guys have approved, but they're at a set mill, do I go up to that, increase them so that they meet the mill, or do I keep the dollar figure? I was told the dollar figure, that's why I put that number in, and that's why I always ask that you guys budget a little higher, just in case a mill comes in. It will kick me off at the max.
Mm-hmm.
but,
The max less 5%.
right.
Yeah. On those, we'll hit the max.
But if you guys budget, like if we estimate a mill at the 20,000 and it comes, 21, or,
Mhm.
something, do we wanna budget just a little bit higher so that those then get the maximum?
Yeah, well, that's true for all of these. really.
Right,
Like senior citizens, we're assuming the mill is gonna be 20,000,
Mhm.
so we're.
Were we gonna know that before we levy?
No, we didn't last year.
Mm-mm.
No, we don't.
I usually
Yeah.
don't get that
It's-
until
it's-
like
and it's-
late October,
It's
November.
on purpose, the state does that,
Mhm.
because the state, doesn't want you to levy in mills, it wants you to levy in dollars.
Correct.
So they purposely withhold the value of a mill from you. And thinking that you're, in some caliber as they are, not able to figure out that if we're in the ballpark it's gonna be, I mean, it's silly, but that's why they do it.
Yeah, but, so if we approved 40,000 for senior citizens and found out later that the value of the mill is 19,900, all you can levy is 39,800.
Right.
Less 5%.
Well, yeah. But if it comes in at 20,500,
They didn't get enough, and that's happened on a number of
then you
occasions.
could levy 41,000. So I don't know the answer.
Well, I mean, we can estimate the value, we've estimated the value of a mill at 20,000 through the
Mhm.
budget, we may as well just leave it there. And
And then when it comes in different, well, if it comes in lower, then we have to reduce it to comply with the law that says it's gonna only be up to 2 mills.
No, it just won't.
It just won't.
It just
Your
won't, we levied in dollars, it just won't let you.
yeah, your motions are this, or not to exceed the 4 mils or the 2 mils or whatever.
So the
That's what
motion
you've
would
done.
be to approve $40,000 not to exceed 2 mills.
Correct.
But that was what was voted on anyway, maximum mill levy, so we couldn't levy 4.2 mills if we wanted to.
Right.
Yeah,
So it would just cut you off, so.
but then if it goes way up, we might end up giving the senior citizens only 1.9 mills. And
That's
that's
the problem.
just the breaks.
Doesn't seem like a problem.
That's what happened with the library. But with the library, it's 4 mils. If they don't get 4 mils, they lose out on state aid. It's like if wasn't that the case? Like if they got
Yeah,
like the
there was-
3 point
There was something like that.
something, they don't get state aid if they don't get 4 mils. And those being voted on are, and it's
I don't think it was, I think they just didn't get state aid on the difference between the 4 mills and what they got, is when I researched that. But, the library's a straight deal. 2 mills of that is for the bookmobile. I mean, there's no bookmobile.
No.
There never, there hasn't been for a long time, so
No.
2 mills is the levy for the library. 2 mills for the bookmobile.
Want to reduce it by 2 mils?
Well, I'd sure like to, but I don't think that, I mean, there has never been an excuse for why they did that, other than they just did it. I mean, the library's another one with a huge amount of money in there, but that's theirs. Once it's there, it's there. That one is explicit. Once it goes to them, there's no clawback.
They got $100 and some thousand in their check.
Yeah, I suppose they spent some on their remodel project.
Yeah, both like the library and the historical society, the Nielsen estate, gave them
Yeah.
40,000 each, and
Yeah.
whenever somebody dies, they leave them $20,000 or $30,000,
Yeah.
either the library or the museum. It seems
Right.
quite often somebody, that lady Barbara Oakley, Mrs. Oakley,
Marvel Oakley.
yeah, she left quite a bit to the.
I wish somebody would leave some money to the Cooperstown Cemetery so somebody could go out there and do a little maintenance.
Well, is it? Did you put them in your will?
No. Should.
So if I'm kind of understanding, if we're estimating it at 20,000 and it's a little bit higher, I use the dollar figure, correct? I don't use bills. That's
Well, I guess like the library, it would be, we'll come up with a number later, like, it'll be 72,000 not to exceed 4 mills against the value of Griggs County less Cooperstown. Just like all the others, the senior citizen would be X dollars not to exceed 2 mills.
and I put that dollar figure in.
Yeah, library will be X dollars not to exceed 4 mills against the library district,
Okay.
which is taking Cooperstown out.
Are we gonna go revenues now, or what are we doing?
That's the next thing I have on my list, and that's on B2. Starting on B2.
We kind of did, didn't we, or not?
We haven't even at all talked about these at all.
Oh, okay.
If there's any questions.
And let's see.
All of the estimated for mobile home penalty and interest and state tax, I've taken the actuals from 2016 and used those numbers. Beer and liquor license, we have 3 6-month ones, and so that's what we've had for years. Games of chance, that's a dollar for each permit, so it's very minimal. I guess that DES reimbursement, that will change because you guys changed some of those numbers in that budget, so I'll make that take half of that.
Yeah, you
budget
could
there.
probably check into the state aid distribution. I think we've got 180,000 so far. And I think we get that paid quarterly, and I don't know if that's 2 payments or 3 payments. If it was 2 payments and we got 180,000, apparently it's too low, but if it's 3 payments, then it's 180,000.
Actual year to date, we have received 188,105.
Yeah, and is that for our three out of the 4 payments?
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
on
if
that.
it was,
I asked Connie about that. She's more of the revenue
yeah,
lady.
it's probably, that's probably for 3 payments, so the 250 is probably about right.
Okay, yeah,
But check it.
okay.
Just backing up, I misspoke. It's a county levying a tax to establish and maintain a public library service is provided in section 403802 may levy a tax not exceeding 4 mills. So what they did was they had the ability to have levy 4 mills, but there was 2 mills levied to the library, 2 for the bookmobile. They just decided to treat it as a authorization for 4 mills.
Yeah, I think the bookmobile was voted on.
Yeah.
But if the library was ever voted on, it was back in 19, I don't know when it would have been, a long time ago.
So they don't exceed, I mean, the 4 mills isn't exceeding other than, it's been done under the bookmobile part of it, so. Go on.
If there's no other questions on B2, it continues on B3.
Yeah, it's,
Clerk of court, sheriff, and registered of deeds / recorder, those numbers were given to me by those department heads.
you know, I'm kind of skeptical on the 26,000, but I'm not going to suggest to change it. Just from the fees, like you were saying before, there was like $3 for each page. Now it's $20 for the first 6 pages. And I did a little spreadsheet, and I didn't think it was going up that drastically, but that's fine. If she thinks it's going to be 26,000,
I asked her to bring that to the meeting today.
Okay, well,
Do you want me to ask her to come right now to explain that? Yes.
But,
Hopefully
and the
I catch
sheriff,
her before she leaves.
he hasn't brought in any revenue yet this year. I don't know why he thinks he's going to bring in 7,000 revenue, but he may. Guess it's better to be optimistic.
The DES revenue is not in here, of course, but
Well, that's on page B2, I guess. That's that 7862.
Yeah, because this DES was wrong. But anyway, that reminds me of something. Bob emailed me and said that to tell the commission that he would be willing to serve as a DES director until the end of the year, if need be. So I've conveyed the message.
It doesn't sound like too good of an idea, but
He ain't gonna be much help from Burley County.
don't seem like it.
Well, I suppose she's gone there.
I'm trying to catch her before she leaves.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, maybe he would be help from Burley County. It would be out of the effect of the disaster.
He'd be safe if
Yeah.
Griggs got, he'd be the only one alive, maybe.
Yeah.
But it,
Maybe it's a strategic move.
but it does bring up that did he turn in his, he didn't even turn in his resignation as DES director, did he?
No.
If he had turned it in, then we could advertise, but since he has not resigned, I guess he's
Good
gonna
fire.
remain.
He technically still is the DES director and will be until
Yep.
the end of the year.
Not necessarily.
No,
It's not an elected position.
No, I mean.
Well, unless we take action.
Let's finish this deal.
Okay.
Okay,
The 26,000, I think it's too high, but
but, yeah,
I mean, it's not that big a deal.
no, that's exactly right.
I did add in the courtroom
Right.
grant. She's got her before she left.
Can I make one point though on the revenues and how it affects the budget? An overstated revenue has the effect of
Under levying.
under levying and never knowing it. Because remember, when we put in the money we're gonna spend for the government soft, it is the amount of money we appropriated, not the amount of money we have. So you can actually have a negative deficit budget by doing something like that. Say we put in 26,000, we don't get it. The bills we spend the full amount that was appropriated. We have no way of knowing because it comes out of the general treasury, and at no time does the general treasury have a benchmark, even at the end of the year, of where it should be. Because you end it this year, and there's 93% of the taxes paid. You end it next year, there's 96% of the taxes paid. There is no balance to the damn thing. So you wouldn't know, other than the fact that the revenue came in, you wouldn't know that you overspent the budget.
Right.
No check and balance to it.
And you hadn't overspent
The
the
budget.
expenditures. You just didn't get enough revenue.
Right, I mean, it's not like a checkbook where you put, here's the money in my account
Right.
and here's the money I get to spend. This one's, here's the money I get to spend, then who cares if the money's in my account? It's supposed to be.
Right. You go ahead, Kelly.
It'd be a lot of work, but you could look.
We're
at-
talking about revenues, so
You
you
could look
can.
at Rotunda's budget and catch it eventually. And
Ron asked the same question that I emailed you today, so I thought on the revenues.
Yeah, I guess it hasn't been changed since I gave her the numbers, but,
The 26,000?
yeah, yep. Because I think you had put in 10,000 or something like that, or you got that from some, I don't know where you got it, but.
Well, I've done a spreadsheet once with all of with the old rates. You know, like $3 a page, and then for so many pages, and then I did it for the new rates. And I tried to compare a 20-page recording, a 40-page recording, a 60-page recording, and I didn't think it was going to be a drastic increase.
No, they figured, for smaller counties, they kind of figured roughly based on, so when they did the study, they kind of, I sent them a report of all the documents that we had, and so they've kind of figured roughly about a 30% increase for some of the smaller counties. So what I did is I just took the average income, well, I took the income from 2015, 2016, and the first 6 months of 2017, I multiplied that by 2, and then I got so I used that as my estimated revenue for 2017, added the 3 together and divided them by 3 and got the average, and
Which
then
is
multiplied that by
17,000.
30%. So
Yeah.
It was like 25, some, almost 26, so I just rounded it to 26. It's just an estimate.
Yeah,
I
and
can't.
you know, I didn't know the pages of each doc, but like if you record 40 or 50 pages, it actually costs less under this new system. But, you know.
No, I don't think, we don't lose until, I think it was up there in the page 70s. And
Maybe it was.
I don't get documents that large. Those documents we don't get here, ever. I can't say ever. I mean, we've had some from like Mid-Coda mortgages and things like that with all the.
I mean,
But
I'm fine
very,
with.
very rare.
Yeah, I'm fine with leaving it there. I'll be surprised.
At
if we-
10,000?
No, you're 26,000.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
be-
that's what I feel comfortable. That's where I estimated.
I'll be
this.
very surprised if we get there, but that's fine.
So,
Well,
So I got it right here,
now,
Troy.
we're
I got it
close
right.
to, I mean, right now, we're, at close to, I mean, I multiplied, I think we're close to 20 just for 2017, I read.
Oh, you got that.
The
someplace.
first 6 months was around, with my engine refund, was around 9,000, a little over 9,000, so.
So I just used 15 and 16, and I added them together and divided by 2. And then I took it times 1.30, it'd be $18,364.90.
What are your totals that you have for? because the
15,946 and 13,307.70.
No, the total revenue for 2015 was 21,251.
No, this is register of deeds, the one I'm looking
And
at.
the total for, yep, and the total for 2016 was 17,566.
I'm looking at the audited revenue. I mean, this is from the audited reports.
But are you including, here's, okay. So here's all of the income for 2015. Total down here, plus our engine refunds is 21,251.
what's an Endrin refund?
That's from Endrin. So Endrin is the North Dakota
I know
Recorders
what it is.
Information Network. Yep.
Yep.
So it's anytime somebody goes on there and prints copies from Griggs County. Well, basically what they do is they do an average percentage based on the number of documents recorded.
So
and
if
they
I buy a
refund the
document
counties.
off of Endrin, the county gets part of that revenue.
Sometimes, yep. They kind of do an average based off of the number of documents recorded in your county. So it's a percentage. I can't remember what percent we get of the total revenue for the year for Endrin.
How is it accounted for?
They disperse that.
No. I'm looking at our revenue report here, and there's the recorder's office has $7,583.
You have to include the DPF,
Oh,
document preservation. Because remember, $3 of every document goes into DPF, and the Endrin refund also goes into DPF.
but that's
So-
a different balance.
And you also have to include our tax. Our tax was also taken out in 2015, 2016. So
But
that's
you're not-
why I've got
Oh.
miscellaneous, UCCs, document preservation, our tax, and the general, and this is the grand total down here.
But this, like what she's got actual revenues 2016 of 13,307.70.
And then 15 in actual revenues is 14,946, and that's right. That's from the audited budgets.
But those aren't correct, because you also have to include your document preservation, because remember, that's a revenue, and so is the R tax.
But that's
You
in a
have
that's in a different fund.
It's all included in the recorder's office, though. It's all revenue for the recorder's office.
But-
And maybe included in a different
But we
fund.
got the document preservation revenue right here.
Document preservation.
Different.
I've got, see, if you look, see, these are all the revenues for document preservation for every single month. So all of these totals here get added into your final. The
But-
total revenue for the recorder's office in 2015 was 21,251.
But the revenue for the recorder's office goes on page C21 of our report.
Right.
And the general fund revenue doesn't include the revenue that goes into document preservation.
Right.
That's a
So
special
we can
fund.
take it out of document preservation, not having your revenue there, and give it to the recorder's office, or we can leave it split up the way
Well,
it
it'd be
is.
nice if we
But
could
you
take
can't
it.
have it, but you can't have it both.
I guess this is just always how we've done it. We've just added the total revenue for the year and got our estimates that way. I mean, it's just an estimate.
But
I mean, if I were to subtract, I mean, I can tell you, my number should, I mean, this should match your number then. If I take the total
Yeah, it will.
18,991
Where's the document preservation at?
C21.
C21.
So for 2015, I have a total of 15,741. If you take out the BPF and the R tax.
No, 14,946.
In 15?
Yep.
I
Audited.
don't have 15.
And for 20,
These numbers right here are based off of the revenue voucher that I hand out every single month. That's where I got all these numbers for every single year. I mean, I know these are right.
but maybe somebody's intercepting the money.
This is right. I mean, Kelly, this has to be right. This is the audited budget, 14,946,
Well, unless
and that goes against the overall money in the treasury. I mean, this coincides with the treasurer's daily report, cash report.
what do you have for 2016?
13,307.70.
Yeah.
I got 13,060. What do you have? 13 something.
307.70.
So I mean,
So anyway, if
Maybe
you
the
use the
two numbers
if
off,
you use the
but-
14,9 and 46 and 14,946 plus 13,307.70 divided by 2 times 1.30, $18,364.90 would be a real close number the way we do business.
and you multiply that by 30.
1.30.
Okay. Okay.
And, it's not a big enough number that it's
No.
gonna bankrupt the county either way, but I just think 26,000.
Well, and right, and I see your point too, but I was including DPF because we've always done the average that way. But
And we have that back, we have that revenue separate.
yeah, yeah.
Can't do
I mean,
that
it's-
because it's a special revenue fund.
I mean,
The only reason we question it, Kelly, is because, so if we overestimate a revenue,
Mm-hmm.
then our final levy will be less. And if we overestimate that revenue, we might run out of money just because the revenue doesn't come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we won't even know it until after the fact, because nobody's keeping track of whether that revenue is coming in there. The way this budget reads in my head right now, since the document preservation is in one spot in here, and it's kind of close to what you have, we're budgeting for that revenue 2 times.
Yep.
So we should,
And it makes sense. I mean, I should be doing an estimate of what would go in the general fund
right,
instead of.
right.
I did a combined. So, and I should. In going forward, I'll make sure that when I do.
That's the only reason we had a question on it.
Yeah.
So, I have another question unrelated to the budget.
You want to finish this first? 18,364.90.
Where you at?
That's a revised revenue.
Oh,
You don't want
What
around
did you say,
it, right?
John?
I don't like to, because that way I know how it came at that number.
Yeah, that's true.
18,000.
364.90. If we always do things the same, or 80, yeah,
What's that?
18,364.90.
90.
If we always do things the same, using those verified numbers, then there's never any second guessing ourselves. We can go back and say, okay, that's actual,
Yeah.
that's the estimated, and that's.
Well, and I guess I should say on here too, I did break it down. I've got 2 general, I estimated 22,339, but,
No, that's fine. I mean, we just didn't want to do it, as Troy explained. As Troy explained, we would actually be overspending the budget.
Right.
Yeah. And if
But
the-
yeah, it makes sense
Unintentionally.
that we just do a general estimate.
If the actual
minus-
revenue comes in over that, that's great.
That would be wonderful.
That would be
I'm
wonderful.
not thinking we'll complain about that.
You know?
Well, I don't think it'd be good for the taxpayer, but it might be
No,
good
that-
for the county.
Good for the bureaucracy, not for the taxpayers.
Yeah.
So, I got a nasty gram from you.
From who?
From you.
From me?
You don't remember sending him that obscene letter?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Via Tom Algen.
Oh, okay.
Because I had a mortgage recorded.
You don't remember hitting send?
No.
No. It came in the
I thought that
mail.
was to John.
Copy all.
So, are all the other banks' documents revised to reflect the new century code at the top of it?
The 3-inch margin.
We're the only bank that doesn't have that yet?
I've seen most of them are changing. The other thing that you can do to vote on that is you can always add a cover page to the front of it. If you add a page to the front,
Right.
say mortgage, leave that top, then you're fine. But yeah, most of them are just kind of shifting that down. I received some documents this week where someone put the cover page on the front. So.
Well, we can't shift it down. There's two companies that write documentation software, Wolters Kluwer. If you look at the bottom of them, you can tell who they are, Laser Pro and Wolters Kluwer. And they haven't changed it yet.
Okay.
We don't really have the option.
Right. So you can always.
But
do
I
that.
think they are gonna, I mean, I gave Julie Stewart as our document gal in Macville. And I gave her that letter from Tom. And I know she's been talking to Walter Schooler, but
Right.
they just haven't fixed it yet.
Right. And we're kind of just sending the letter out to, every time we see one, for a few months, we're gonna be sending out, but the way around it is adding a cover page.
Sure.
And if you don't have it, I mean, they'll just throw on the back page or add a page to it.
Well, you didn't even use the top of the page on that particular document.
No, if it doesn't have the 3 inches across the top, we won't use it. We'll just either add to the back or,
Can't you just do it like you used to?
no, because the century code specifies, and we want to stay consistent, and if it's not there, then we add a page. So,
Which don't matter because of the way the new fee structure
Right.
is. If you're gonna have 19 pages, you can have 27 and it
Right.
won't, doesn't
Right.
change, doesn't
Yeah.
change the
So
cost.
if they don't change your software, you can just add that cover page.
Right, I'll tell her that.
And that's
I didn't think about it.
just as easy.
We just sent all that stuff over to Tom because he was gonna close that sale.
Right, and I think that was the one I might have sent back, but, and I knew.
I don't think you sent it back.
Did I send? No, but the letter with it.
You just sent the
Yeah.
little deal to
It was
Tom.
nice, it wasn't nasty. It was no nasty gram.
It wasn't.
But yeah, that's one way that you can get around that
Okay.
too.
Very good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly.
Were you gonna ask the sheriff where he's gonna get that $7,000 revenue?
He told me just to estimate what we estimated last year.
Yeah, but he was dead wrong last year.
That's what I was.
Yeah, he's gotten 0 so far this year. What's he gonna do differently?
I
I mean, I think you could ask him the question, just ask him where that revenue's coming from.
okay.
Because I don't know where it would come from.
Maybe it'll be asset seizure.
That's what I tried to.
Yeah, that could be.
I couldn't remember what that was. We gotta stop people on the highway out there till they find somebody with some cash and seize it.
I believe those are ill-gotten gains. You can just take it.
Over 10,000.
Or just
yeah,
stop
find
and
somebody
take
with
their
over
car.
10,000 cash and take it.
No, even less.
Even less?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 10,000.
The average seizure, like in some states, is like $230. They pick some kid up with a joint in his pocket and accuse him of selling dope, and they take his pocket change.
They take his car.
They take everything. They take their yacht. I mean,
That's horrible.
Man, it's terrible. Yeah.
You don't even have to charge him for
No, it's $10,000 if you try to take it out of the country.
Mhm.
You can see, yeah, it sees it and charge you that way. Make a motion, we adjourn. When's the next meeting?
Good, moved by John that we adjourn. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. 4:51 p.m.
Has anyone ever been
August
opposed to adjourning?
24th, 2017. Next meeting will be.
September 8th.
We can't wait that long. Next regular meeting will be September 8th. When's the next special meeting, boys? Well, you and Ron can tell us when the next.
Yeah, to be determined, I guess.
Okay.
But especially, you know, at the end, at 4 o'clock on Friday, make sure you give me the latest copy of that spreadsheet.
Okay.
And that's the one I'll work on protecting to the cells.
Okay.